Alright, five, four, three, two, one. Welcome to Truth Room Experience. I've got Vikas Muralidharan over here.
Yeah, what's up, man?
So, man, thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me, bro.
Yeah.
It's good to be here.
So, yeah, you're a stand-up comedian.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's and you're a lawyer.
yeah, it's a great combination.
It's a
trust me.
dangerous combination
Yeah,
because you can know the legality of jokes also.
yeah. I mean, that's something I have to be worried about now. Yeah.
So, how does it work, man? Both of them together?
It's really good because I started training to be a lawyer much before I knew that I could do stand up. And the best part about being trained in law is being trained to speak in front of a crowd and in public. So I think one of my biggest strengths when I started out as a comedian, and this was 2 years back, one of my biggest strengths in comparison to everybody that I was doing it with at that time who just started at the same time was that I was never nervous in front of the crowd. So I didn't have any inhibitions with regards to stage fear or my body language on stage. I was also always very natural on stage because I had that tons of practice just by virtue of being in law school. And that's really important for stand-up. I mean, most of it is your writing. You have to be, you should be funny.
Yeah.
But sometimes the best lines that you thought of will fail miserably on stage just because you didn't deliver it right. And that could be your body language, the tone of voice you use and all of that. So it's very important to get the delivery on stage perfect. And for me, issues with regards to nervousness and voice and body language was never an issue because I was doing debating and these mock trials and all of that.
Which is a very important thing of becoming a lawyer, isn't it?
Yeah, that's crucial. So if you want to be a good lawyer, and if you take law, if you did law because you want to be a lawyer, you are going to be heavily trained in all of this, and you won't sit away from these classes. You won't run from them. But I think it's a necessary part of going to law school that students are made to train to just speak in front of a crowd. I mean that is your whole profession. You need to be able to speak. You need to be able to convince someone.
So is there like special classes for that? They do it separately?
Yeah, I mean,
Like it's called mock
yeah,
classes or something, like practical classes or something like that?
yeah. So that would be our practical. So our practical would be the law students' practical papers would be one arguing a case in front of like 3 professors, and 2 it could be writing a research paper or writing a brief or creating legal briefs for cases. So that's our practical. So technically everyone who's been to law school has to have had that experience of speaking. If you want to be trained, you take it too seriously, that's all.
So that actually helped very easily.
Yeah.
Much more easier than other people who would have like, okay, I want to do comedy, but I've got stage fear.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna do that,
and that's surprisingly, I mean, common with most of the people who are starting out, because, and for many people, it's not just about stage fear. Like they can handle themselves in front of a crowd. There's that doubt of, am I funny, and is this going to get a reaction? So that messes with them a bit more.
Yeah, how big of a part is confidence in doing stand-up
Oh, it's-
comedy,
it's
right? You
huge.
can see the most shittiest joke and you can still make the whole room laugh.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I've seen bits online where the content of the joke is only there for like 3 minutes, and the remaining another 4 minutes is just talking shit about someone or something, and witty remarks.
Yeah, crowd work is,
Yeah, the
is,
crowd
is
work,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, but there are also stand-up sets. I don't know if you've noticed. There are quite a few stand-up comedians who incorporate theater on stage. So it's more of acting out the scene. So if
Yeah.
you're describing a scene instead of just narrating it like most comedians.
Yeah, they do the whole funny
Yeah,
thing. for me, biggest example would be Gabriel Iglesias.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Orale joke, you know, like he literally plays it out. on
yeah,
stage.
and he's so good at it, right?
Yeah.
Because he's really good at really getting into the character, and so at that point, it's a much better description of the scene than a narration, than a narration without, all these little act outs.
Yeah.
So if you're a theater artist who's doing comedy, that's even better.
Yeah.
And there's this one guy in the Chennai scene who's really good at it because he started out as a theater artist. And when you see him on stage, or when he's performing comedy, he incorporates a lot of it into it, his body language and his face, and it works wonders for him. So, I think that's a bigger advantage than just being a lawyer and doing stand-up.
Well, everything has its own advantages, right?
Yeah.
For him, it would be, but I think the common part both of them is that the whole thing about stage fright is removed already.
Yeah.
So the path to actually go in there and put your foot in and just start working on your jokes
Yeah.
is much easier for you than the people who come in with no stage experience, because they
Yeah.
have to get through that to actually go and concentrate on writing your jokes.
Yeah, that's...
They have to deal with double problem at that, and you just have to deal with a single problem.
Yeah, I mean,
To simplify it.
Yeah, the delivery part becomes a lot easier. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's just then the writing that you have to focus on.
So it makes it much easier for you. And another surprising thing I learned is that you are the younger brother of Vivek Muralidharan, who I had on my podcast
Yeah,
a couple of episodes ago.
yeah.
Yeah. I had no clue you guys were. You don't even look alike.
You don't look alike?
No, you
Seriously?
don't look alike, man.
I mean,
No, you
come
don't.
on, man.
Well,
like,
no.
if I lost all my hair
Yeah.
and I was a bit more fit, I'd be him.
Aren't you fit?
No, not really. I'm a bit too skinny.
Well, compared to me, you are. So simple as that. You are fit. Even Abhishek came and asked me that question.
Oh.
I'm fit now. I was like, listen, don't make fun jokes here, right?
Yeah.
He's another funny character, man.
Yeah.
So how is it? Do you like? There's always a question I ask with most of the comedians I have. I know it must be like repetitive, but are you guys like naturally funny? Or is it just like clicks and then one day you just like every joke that you say people are just like,
So, no, yeah,
and then you realize, oh shit, I can actually do this.
it's not like there are some comedians who are naturally very funny in real life, right? And they're just very funny people. They're just humorous off stage and on stage. But quite a few of the comics, definitely in the Chennai circuit, are not, they're not like that. They might not be like that. And even if you are that way in real life, it takes skill to sit down and write a set. And that is what makes the difference, right? If your set is not funny, doesn't matter. The thing is, when you do, even for these most, you spoke about, one day you just wake up
Yeah.
and you do this. The most established comics can bomb and the audience can sit silent throughout their entire performance. It just depends on the quality of your set, what you've written and what you're saying on stage, and the day that you have. For me, I'm not really that funny a person off stage. Like, I do crack jokes,
Okay.
but I will. No one would describe me as a class clown or anything like that.
Okay.
It's not like I was a very funny person off stage. I'm actually quite a serious person off stage.
Is it?
Yeah, but so for me, it's work. I have to sit down and think of jokes, but that can happen in a flash of a moment also. So, for example, one of the best jokes that I've ever written was something that just randomly popped in my head when I was in the shower,
Okay.
and I literally like got out of the shower. I was in Delhi, and I was just taking a shower, and this joke jumped in my head. So I got out of the shower, like wrapped my towel around, ran into the room where all my roommates were looking at me really shocked, and I wrote it down so that I don't forget it. And I went back into the shower, and for 15 minutes I was just showering, thinking about how did I think of that? How did I come up with that? Yes, just a moment
Yeah.
that you have.
It's
Yeah.
like an epiphany kind of
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, I never got to perform that though.
Oh, not yet.
Yeah,
It's in
no.
the locker though.
No, I don't think I will. It was a very. The problem was I was in Delhi, and this was the time that Jayalalitha was really, really sick. So the joke was about Jayalalitha. It was a Jayalalitha joke, but when I was on my way back to Chennai, and I had a slot in the open mic the very next day, that day she died.
Okay.
And people were like, bro, no Jayalalitha jokes at open mics. And I think I just didn't use it. And then I just, now it doesn't, it's not a joke that's relevant anymore. So it was something that would have been really, really funny if I had gotten to do it at that time.
Okay.
But now it's just I can't do it anymore because it's just no longer relevant. It's
So
just,
your best joke,
yeah, no,
according to you,
it's not my best joke, but it's definitely up there. It's like,
definitely up there.
yeah, it's more memorable because of the way it came to me, I guess. That's all.
It's the situations that lead up to the joke. That's usually funny. So your what do you call your content that you make jokes on? Is
Yeah.
it something that you pick up something that is in reality happens to you, or is it something that you create for people to have fun about?
No,
or
I think
laugh about
it's,
because it relates to them.
yeah, okay. I think what I do, most of my content is what I see around me. So
Okay.
it's some of the content is about me as a person, and you know how I am, who I am, and all of that. Most other content, I do storytelling. So, and it's always usually a story. When I do storytelling, it's a story that happened to me. Of course, there's fiction involved, right? You
Yeah.
make up things that didn't
Cook up
happen, and all
things, that's
that.
the whole fun of it.
Yeah. But I think, yeah, most of my comedy, I just look around, I see the type of people I meet and the way they behave. So I get content from there. And when you're having a party where people are not sober, that's
Yeah.
the best place to
That's the
get
best
content.
place to be.
Yeah.
That's the best place to be. So much things happen that it's just like, what the hell, man? This
People
will be-
say the funniest things and people
Yeah.
do the funniest things. And so they could just say some weird, absurd line when they're high or something.
Yeah.
And you'd find it hilarious. But then you'd go back and when you're sober, it's not that funny to you. But what that means is that whatever he said is something that you can twist and make very weird, and you
Yes.
can make it funny for people.
Yes, you could.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are some instances that happen like that. I have one story of mine, don't want to drop his name here. Nice guy. So he's one of those kids who have never, like, always listened to their parents, followed what they have to say,
Yeah.
wouldn't do, all those nice and friend. But with us, he's like the complete opposite, but he'll still follow those rules, sort of thing.
Yeah.
One of them thing was, I'll tell you what thing it is actually when the joke goes on, right? It wasn't a joke, it was an incident that happened to me, which I really found it that funny. But when I was telling to another comedian friend of mine, he says at the end, he was like, it's not funny, bro. I was like, does it work? I was like, no, I can't be a stand-up comedian. He's like, I thought that was my best joke. That's when, you realize, you're not made for that shit. So this was, I got into his car, and then me and my other friend in the front seat, they were arguing with each other. This happened in Dubai. And we're fucked. Right? And so that's why I don't want to name any people. So we're in the car. And this guy goes like, I'm like, what you guys arguing about? And he goes, hey, bro, I need him. This friend goes like, dude, he wants me to go buy something from the supermarket. I don't want to go buy. I'm like, what is it? Tell me, I'll go buy. And like, I want you both to stop arguing.
Yeah.
And this other friend of mine, he turns back and he says, bro, just go buy condom packets, okay?
Okay.
I was like, you fucking asshole, you're 25 years old, you're asking me to go buy a condom packet from the store. And that's the question I would usually ask someone.
Yeah.
But in his situation, it's like, what the fuck you need a condom?
Yeah.
Like, you literally know it's not possible from him, It's like that kind of situation. He's like one of those goody two-shoes kid. I'm like, what the hell you want it for? Like, I was shocked.
Yeah.
Because I listen, something that I do, I needed that for. I was like, you tell me what you need it for, and then I'll go buy. Okay, whatever it is. Then he goes like, bro, I have to masturbate.
Oh.
So I was like, so how's that? I still wasn't getting the whole thing. He goes like, but my family live in the house, so I just have to dump it properly. It's like,
Oh.
dude, you're one expensive motherfucker. That's what you are.
No, I mean, this can be a joke. This is not bad. I mean, I don't think this has.
Well, it's funny to you and me because
No. I think even genuinely, it's just a weird situation. But obviously, if you say it like this, it's not going to be that funny.
yeah, obviously, yeah.
So you
That's
can
not
twist
inbuilt
it.
in me.
Yeah.
People like you,
Yeah.
when you do years and years of doing it,
Yeah.
you're able to do that properly.
Yeah.
It's just like anything that happens which is normal or something which is like it looks normal, but from your perspective, it isn't normal.
Yeah, and I think once you start doing comedy, your perspective changes.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. Because things are naturally funnier now because I'm looking for jokes. Like it's just much better to live this way. I think I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like so. There are times where I've put myself in awkward positions deliberately,
To see how it
just to
pans
see what happens.
Yeah.
It's like it's very I would never have done that if I never became a comedian. Like I know, and sometimes the awkwardness goes it goes a bit too far. Like you so there's this time where a friend of mine had a breakup.
out. Okay.
And it was a pretty bad breakup. Like it was the awkwardness around the friend circle and all of that. It was pretty fucking tight. We go out clubbing one night and I see her. And I made sure the two of them met. Like
Oh,
it had to happen for me. Like it just genuinely at that moment for me I just needed to see what would happen.
I
So
can literally imagine being in a situation next to you and thinking, what the hell are you doing? Because don't do that. No, bro, I'm gonna do it, bro. Let's see how it works
yeah,
out.
let's see what happens. It was just, that's, maybe comedy is not that good for your life. I don't know.
They say it's a pain being of friends with comedians.
Yeah, I'd guess.
Yeah.
I'd guess.
Because I had one dude back in Dubai. He's a
Yeah.
pretty cool dude. So he was in that beginning stage where, everything is funny.
Yeah.
Everything is funny. It's like, shut the fuck up. It's not funny. It's like,
Yeah.
it is funny, bro. It's like, no, it isn't.
Yeah.
It's just you're going through a phase. This is called young life crisis. That's what you're going
Yeah.
through, We were all pretty young that time. So, yeah, I guess they do weird things to you. They put you into a situation, because especially if you're like a good friend of theirs.
Yeah.
And
You
just to
have
see-
that past. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, "Hey, chalta hai," like, what?
Yeah, put him in trouble and see how it goes.
Yeah.
And then other guys come, why am I even friends with this guy, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have friends who get annoyed with you at sometimes.
I'm sure they do. They just don't say it. Like, and as long as that doesn't happen, I'm cool with it. So.
What, them telling you?
Yeah, I mean, as long as we don't have to talk about it and they have to
talk
stop.
about it. Guys still talk about it.
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah,
That's good, isn't it?
yeah. It's good. It's at least in my circle we do. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I can't speak for everyone, but yeah, I guess. I think it was worse when I was young, where guys wouldn't talk.
Yeah.
Like if they had an issue, it'd just be straight up roughhousing
And you don't even know why we are roughhousing.
yeah, you.
And then when the roughhousing gets done, are you serious you're roughhousing with me for this, you stupid ass guy?
Yeah, and then you become best friends the next day.
Yeah,
It's
that's also there. That is there. It's good guys are actually talking to each other
Yeah.
about certain things. Because I have very, very good friendship with one of them. And we are so close, we talk about a lot of things. Literally, his mom goes like, you need to get a girlfriend.
okay.
It's talking to him a bit too much. That kind of a situation.
Yeah.
That's a very weird situation parents have, That's the stigma they have. And then we are like, we're talking about these things. We're just easier to communicate. And ideas just flow through with each other in a very different level. Now, for an example, if you have a certain subject you want to talk about, which is only sensitive to you and you only,
Yeah.
and you can only talk about that with guy friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah? You can't actually talk with your girlfriend because she's going to take it in a very weird way.
Okay.
So before, if you weren't talking to your guy, you will end up doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
Are you relating to what I'm saying, or am I just talking stupid shit?
No.
Because it does happen on my podcast.
No, I think it's a good thing that the culture of guys just talking to each other about emotions is actually growing up. I think as boys, Most of us have grown up with the idea that guys shouldn't show emotions, and it's guys can't cry, boys can't cry, boys can't, be emotional. And if you're an emotional guy, it's very likely you get bullied at school, right?
Yeah.
It's so. But I think it's changing now. I think guys are able to, at least to a certain level, they're able to more freely express themselves and more freely express their emotions and be real to who they are. I think crying is really important because
I agree.
I think like sometimes when you are having an anxiety attack or you're feeling really, really stressed and down by something, I find that if I cry it out, I feel much better.
Oh, so much better.
Yeah, and
There's no shame in it.
yeah, to tell people that you can't cry is just really stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it builds, all those emotions build up yourself, which are supposed to go out in tears. If you don't let it go out that way, it might end up in something else.
Yeah, it's very unhealthy.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes it's just better to.
Yeah, so that's the best part of it. I think it's actually good that we're living in times where it's easier for kids growing up now, at least, to express themselves freely. The idea of masculinity that has existed really needs to change. For people to be able to be who they are more openly. That's what I feel.
How good does it feel to see that happen?
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's kind of like, generations from now it would be much different.
Yeah.
Especially here.
Yeah. And I think all over the world actually. There used to be times where, if you're a kid, if you're a 5-year-old, 6-year-old boy who's crying because your toys are gone, the first thing that they say is they don't comfort you at that age. They just tell you, don't cry. You're a guy, you can't cry. And it starts from there. And you are made to feel less of a man if you cry. Even among your friends, they call you a girl, they call you a sissy, they say things like that to you.
Yeah.
And so people start thinking they're not man enough, if they show emotions or if they express themselves freely, and that's really, really bad for your mental health, the way you grow up.
So these kids who do call other kids like girls and sissy and all, don't you think it's sort of like a cry for help itself?
I'm not sure. I honestly don't know. I think of late I've been thinking that bullying comes from some place of insecurity. It's either the fact that you want to establish yourself as the dominant.
Yeah, and I wasn't actually focusing on the bullying part, but even if you leave the bullies aside, because they're a whole different subject, but when it comes to even friend circles where you hang around and then, man, don't be a girl. You know, that kind of thing. It's okay to say it sometimes as a funny, where there's a fine line where you can actually say it as a funny thing because you really want him to stop crying and you really care.
Yeah, I still don't think that's.
There's the other side where they actually emphasize on that fact that you're a man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about the other side where they just say it as a joke for you to make you feel better sort of thing.
Okay.
Which guys do it as natural amongst them. They just do it, that's there. But when someone who really emphasizes on this point.
Yeah, I mean, if you're making people feel that to be a man you have to be a certain way and you have to behave a certain way, I think that's just wrong. I think just because you're born with a dick doesn't mean, all of you have to be the same emotionless robots and, think the same way.
Yeah.
Or learn the same things and do the same things. I think people should be able to express themselves and live their life how they want to be, and making them or saying you are not a man because you were behaving this way. I think that's just wrong. And that goes the other way too. Women are expected to be calm and silent and docile and submissive or whatnot. It's obvious that's wrong. You shouldn't.
Very wrong.
Yeah.
All the women I know kick my ass. But they're pretty cool people though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's completely wrong how society makes you think, in a certain way. These things sometimes are so weird that sometimes you're not even taught this at home. You know? It's weird because when I was growing up, nobody ever taught me that men are supposed to be men this way or women are supposed to be this way. It was never taught.
Yeah.
I was brought up in a situation where I know every Tuesday is the time I actually mop my whole house. and I still did that for a long, long time into my
Okay.
20s.
Hmm.
So the fact about you doing, like I cook, like I do all of those things, like I do what a woman is supposed to do, and I do what a man is supposed to do too.
Okay.
But then I see a couple of my friends who have no sort of experience in the other end of the spectrum. Right?
Yeah.
But they are taught at household like you're supposed to be a man. For
Yeah.
me, it was never taught that way. So you have that, and then you start coming into society, and then it's so subtle that it creeps up in you, and then it becomes a subject, and you just think about it as like, why are people thinking it that way? That's weird, isn't it? When you look at
Yeah.
two different subjects, is how are in your head like two different altogether.
Yeah. No, I mean there is a theory that it starts with the times where we were all small tribes, and literally we were living in the forests as a species. So at that time, the only thing that would happen, and there's this very interesting theory on the internet that the only reason women were suppressed for millennia is because they got pregnant. So basically all that used to happen when you were a tribe, when we were a very primitive tribe, is that a lot of sex, a lot of hunting, a lot of fights. Basically that's all used to happen.
Yeah.
And so women who get pregnant obviously cannot do hard physical labor, right? And so that's why it's the man who goes out to work, and that's why it's the woman who stays inside the home. So that theory really made me think. So that's one idea that they have as to, that's a starting point of saying, this is the behavior of a man, this is the behavior of a woman.
Basically in our DNA.
Yeah, I mean that's how it started. But I think the thing that people are failing to realize is that now we are not tribes anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So those concepts should not matter to us anymore. All those, and that came from a literal physical difficulty, and now we live in a much different world, obviously.
Yeah, the situations are different. We
Yes.
don't go hunting, you don't go hunting, I don't go hunting, nobody goes hunting
Yeah.
nowadays. We just buy from supermarket, that itself is a hunting. But yeah, but
No, but the thing is, so those classifications that you made, even if you quote them with whatever reason, and you say, oh, this is the historic reason why this happened, that happened, none of them are relevant today.
yeah,
So I think to hold on to those notions of masculinity and femininity, how they've been traditionally understood for years now, I think that understanding just needs to go away. That you don't have to have certain traits or certain characteristics to be a woman, to be a real woman, or to be a real man.
and that's, how hard is that over here?
It's pretty hard. I think it's pretty evident. I mean, the thing is, you know English, I know English, and most of the people who are watching this podcast know English. The entirety of this country, 10% can speak English. So,
Is it that less?
yeah, this is as per 2000, either 11 or 1. But I think max it would be, 15, 20 now, that's all. Who can actually read, write and speak English. So, everyone watching this podcast, everyone listening to this, and if you take all of their friends and most of the people they've interacted with in their lives, we form such a small part of the population. So we shouldn't be fooled into thinking the world around us is, the India around us that we see every day is the real India. There's so much experiences that none of us have had. And we live in the small bubble of, our circle. And we think this is how the rest of the country is. Our view of the country is limited to the ones we see around us. And the problem is, for people like us who are educated and can speak English, we're not even 20% of the country.
But outside our small bubble, situation are much different.
Yeah, much different. So there could be, maybe around our circle, boys are being allowed to express themselves freely and girls are being, given the freedom that they need. You can see that around your circle maybe, but that's not a very significant part or population of the country.
Has that got to do with... so now when you specify it this way, because we know English and because we're inside that a group of people who know English and the rest don't know, is it, I don't know how to frame this question, but I'm stupid, okay, I'm just gonna ask blunt questions over here.
Yeah.
So is it like education is so less? Is that what it means? Because if they are much educated and if they have a better understanding of things and their opinion on certain traits, like what we were talking about, the gender equality over here, sort of, is...
No, I don't think that's how you can classify it, because for number one, English and education are not the same. So there are people who have the biggest outlook on life, and they've studied a lot. They've done PhDs, but they can't speak English.
Yeah, but that means there is another segment of the country already where they go along with this idea.
No, they do. No, I'm just saying that's a completely different debate altogether. I'm just saying, my point, the point I was trying to make is that people should not believe that the world around them and the community that they live in and the people who they see around them, we should not fall into the idea that is representative of how our country thinks. So we should be careful to avoid that. So when you say, oh, it changes, it could be changing around us, but there's still a lot of work to do overall. I think we can't assume, it would be a huge mistake to assume things are better.
Yeah, it's like it's moving forward right now. Now is the time to even push on it. Yeah, because a lot of things here has to change. A lot more.
Yeah.
Because when I grew up outside the country, so for me, when I was coming in here and spending the last 1 year, like, getting to know each and every small things, right?
Yeah.
It baffles my mind. Like how simple a solution is when nobody wants to go for the solution kind of thing. And then there's a lot of other factors that are associated with it. It's just not a particular materialistic problem, but it could be this societal problem. It could be a psychological problem that they have on looking at a certain thing.
Yeah.
And just like how, why?
Yeah, I mean, they're restricted by like tradition and faith
and they know the solution, but they never want to act on it too.
Yeah.
Even that infuriates me.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so what is it that's just keeping them in that limbo state where they know the solution to the problems themselves? Was a minor thing. Construction next to me.
Okay.
All right. You can literally have a box where you put all the sand and everything and just use that and not fuck up the road over here.
Okay, you're talking about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a very simple thing.
Yeah.
It's one of those. There's a lot of other factors. This is a very simple thing, right? They know they can do it, but they won't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I just think they've never gotten in trouble for it, that's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Interesting.
I just think like they don't feel the need, they don't see it as a pollution problem because they've not gotten in trouble enough, that's all.
So when everyone knows what the solution is, they have to get into trouble to actually act on it.
It's sad, isn't it? I wish I had the answer, bro, but like, I really think so. I mean, like, you're right. It would be just a very simple solution for the government to mandate that you don't pollute the roads around you and you don't fuck shit up. Hasn't happened. People haven't gotten in trouble, that's all. I don't think anyone thinks about it, to be honest.
What do they think about it? Like, I can actually see a good amount of tax money coming in just because you implement that law.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that benefiting a lot more people around here. And if you want to fill your own pockets also with that money, you can do it. So whoever on the top is, but it's still there. Solutions there that can still viably profitable for you to do it.
That's the thing.
And at the same time, nobody wants to do it.
Do they see it as a problem is the question, right? So if it's not a problem to solve, then they don't think of the solution. So like I said, no, they don't get in trouble because hardly anyone cares enough. People just don't care here. So if they don't care about it, about the streets being dusty and all of that, and pollution in the air, whatnot, then they just don't even think about a solution for it. Like, it's not even a problem. Why bother changing anything?
Yeah, it applies to all the other situations too.
Yeah.
What we were talking about here was a simple example actually. But damn, how is the young India? So you're part of the young India. I wish I was, but didn't grow up here. So,
No, like I said,
or do they really care about these things? How a majority of them do, or is it like a minority of them actually care about these things?
I think in general we are becoming a more vocal group. In general, I think a lot more people now are open about, they talk more about their opinions. They freely express their opinions much more. It's either that or it has a wider audience now because of social media and all of that. So their opinion reaches a lot more people than it would have earlier. I don't think you can pinpoint to a direction as to whether it's progressive or conservative. I think that is there in equal measures. I think, there are progressives, there are conservatives, there are people who stick on to older ideas of tradition, faith, and masculinity and femininity, gender, all of that, caste system even. And there are also obviously Indians who don't care about any of that, who think, who shout, who are very liberal basically. I don't think we can make any assessment of, is the young Indian more liberal or more conservative. I think it's there. There are a lot of conservatives, there are a lot of liberals. But definitely the voices are louder and the voices reach a lot more people. So it might seem like, the young Indian is more progressive and more liberal and more in favor of equality in a lot more areas. It might seem that way. But again, that's because we are inside an echo chamber where we're just listening to each other talk.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people who don't have the same views that we do. And the first place I didn't realize this until I went to college. So I went to college in Tanjavur. And up until the time I went there, I didn't see caste as a big thing because I've lived in Chennai all my life. And I also have the privilege of caste. So it's not something that ever affected the way I lived. Like, I genuinely was never a question in my mind. And because I was living in this echo chamber, I did not realize how huge the problem is outside. And in rural areas, and even within Chennai, people who are not my circle. I never realized how much it impacted Indian life until I went to college, and where I saw people from other parts of the state, from southern Tamil Nadu, from northern Tamil Nadu, all districts basically, and these people come from very different backgrounds, and I realized it's a pretty huge problem because it's a very important aspect of their identity for them, for some people.
What sort of problems that creep up?
For example,
because this is entirely new to me too.
No. So the most extreme incident that I had in college, this happened only once, and you're not likely to hear this too much in, I'm not sure, but like in my college, the very first year, so I was this always innocent kid thinking, oh, it's not a problem, it's not an issue anymore. And in my first year of college, I was walking down the hostel, and I heard one of my hostel mates, one of my batch mates in a law school, talking to his friend's father. And they were just having a conversation outside the hostel. And I was just walking by and I overheard the kid say, we shouldn't let any one of them live. And we should get all of them. And I'm not saying what the them was obviously over here, but he was talking about a caste. And that was someone who studied with me in my age group. So the moment I heard that, I was just walking past, I just ran, like I just ran to my room. And I was just sitting there thinking, where the hell did this come from? 17 years of my life, I've never heard anything like this around me. I used to think this is something in the history books, it didn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
And I heard this, and I thought, okay, maybe there are elders in your family who hold on to those views. Like, they're very, it's sad, but within your family there are going to be people who hold these views, and you think, oh, within our generation everything is fine. But this was someone who was my batchmate, and he said something like that, and I think that's where I actually started to take this as something that as a serious problem in society, and I researched more. I read more, and I spoke to people of different backgrounds, and it's still a huge problem in the country, and we just haven't realized it because we live within one bubble. But it's a massive problem, and people still need to talk about it. People need to. The laws might be there, but I think on ground there's a lot of work to do.
With the current technology that we have that brings people closer, right? And you can share whatever you want to share, another person looks at it. They don't look at another person they can't see by the look of the face, or he's either from that caste or this caste, right? It's not branded on anyone's physical appearance or anything, right? It's an ideology, right? So even at this current time of technology where people are getting closer to each other and everything, why does it still does it exist because of what the parents instill in those kids, even though they are so advanced? And
I think a large part of it is definitely how the kids are brought up within the family. I think at least with some of the people I've seen, like that particular kid that I was talking about, I later found out that both the parents, like this kid, his dad, and the person he was talking to, both of them were local leaders of their caste in their city. They're from the same city, they're from the same locality, and they're leaders of their caste. So I definitely think it's just from the home they grew up in. Well, that's the ideology you see around you, and that's what you're taught since you're a little kid. The sense of identity becomes very important to you, and they grow up like that. But that's no excuse. I mean, you're especially for me, you're in a law school. You're reading the constitution that says everyone is equal. It's a very difficult process for some people to unlearn something that they've been told all their life, and then to actually accept something different. For 18 years you're told this is the truth and this is the way of life, and that's what you see in your home, that's what you see in your echo chamber around you. That reality is very different. So that unlearning everything, that indoctrination that you've had throughout your life, to reverse that and to be accepting of new ideas, that's very difficult for many people.
Damn.
I don't know if you've lived in if you've spoken around over here to a lot of people, but I think one of the stories that one of my friends was telling me was about how people can't ask what caste you are from over here around here anymore directly.
I thought that was the most stupidest thing to ask anyone.
Yeah, no, they can't
unless
ask.
You're curious about certain other thing.
Maybe, but if you're meeting someone for the first time, they can't ask you, oh, what caste are you, right?
Yeah.
It's become a bit more difficult for them to do that now. He was telling me how they'd ask him for his last name.
Based on the last name?
Yeah. So because a lot of castes do tend to have, there are certain surnames that are associated with certain castes, or they'd ask, what city are you from, what village are you from, because they'd know, by the population in that village, they'd be able to have a guess at what caste you're from. That still happens.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because if equal opportunities are there, do you think caste will go away?
No.
Because isn't caste system based on having unequal opportunities in the function of society?
The caste system denies opportunities to people. Yeah, that's how it's been functioning for a while. But it's a very controversial topic if you get into it, because that's why I think reservation is actually important. A lot of people are anti-reservation now,
Okay, reservation is to clarify.
quotas, in the government
So, like
jobs,
you're
and
part of that, and then you get priority to get a job or something like that, or a certain number of seats are given to you.
yeah, I think that's
Okay.
still very important,
Why is that?
because I think without that see, we have to understand that reservation came because the caste system existed.
Yeah.
It's not like reservation is the cause of casteism. It's like the reservation exists as a system that is designed to say, hey, you need to provide opportunities to those people, because if we don't say it and if we don't regulate that by law, they'll be kept out of mainstream society forever. You will not give them jobs. So in order to remedy that, we have said, you need to take certain number of people from these communities for jobs.
Okay.
That's the basic idea of the system.
Okay.
You need to integrate them into education. You need to integrate them into. It's not about, like, they have the argument of merit and all of that, but I'm not even going to get into that debate right now. But this is the idea. These people have been denied opportunities for so long. They need representation, and the problem of the perception that mainstream institutions have, that they don't want to have certain people within their institutions, still exists. So we have to force them to accepting students of this class. So reservation is a solution for that mentality. And I think today that mentality has not gone. And I think caste-based discrimination is still a huge reality. And I think the only reason, or the time to remove reservation as a system is when casteism ends. I think that's when. I think it actually has to be there for a few years after that also. But
how can you end?
Yeah, that is the big question.
Because see, here my question is, right? I've got a very blunt question here.
Yeah.
You're saying that certain percentages are given to certain people, so they have equal opportunity to come on board and development of them, right? Because of the caste system that is existed.
Yeah.
Right? But how do they, like, if everyone just writes the exam and it's just people who get good marks, how they are ones who are given opportunities, but even in that, do they even look at it if you're like from this caste or that caste or whatever? If you remove reservation, this is a blunt question, right? I don't know much detail about this.
If you remove reservation,
If you remove reservation, everyone gets the normal thing. If you're good at it, you get it.
No, that's the thing. That's not how it works.
Why not?
The problem of caste still exists. People still look at a person and judge them on the basis of their caste. And I'll go back to my university. My university, there was this professor who literally stood in front of class to me, and he said earlier, when there were a lot of Brahmins in the legal system was a very well respected. The legal profession was a very well respected profession, and now the legal profession is not that respected. And I don't want to say anything more. He said that to me in class. He was a teacher and he was teaching students, and he said that to me in the middle of class. So that solution, that problem has, from personal anecdotes, I can tell you that problem is not gone at all. But I think people who are from the caste that are being denied, they can tell you a lot more stories, and we need to listen to them.
Okay, so if you remove that upper layer which selects people based on caste, right? And you change the laws over there, then you can remove the reservation, is it?
No, but like, who's going to occupy these posts?
Yeah, that's my question. That's who selects them. Who is it that?
No, I mean, you start an institution. You start an educational institution.
Yeah, but if I have an education institution, I open it, I put up an entrance exam, but I don't give this percentages, reservations, or caste, whatever. You get good marks, you're in. I don't care about what your surname is, what your other thing is.
Yeah, no, but so, okay, you're talking about your institution, but reservation would still apply to you, because on the larger picture, that position still exists in many places.
Okay, is it because you're saying the people who are under reservation do not have equal opportunity to study or learn?
Or anything.
To actually
Jobs,
compete
anything.
with the other people who get privileged because of their caste?
Yeah. I'm saying it's a problem. It still is a problem.
Okay.
And I think until that problem ends,
You cannot remove this.
reservation. Yeah.
Okay, so it's like a much deep-rooted societal problem.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
has to be sorted out before you even think about removing.
Yeah, I will agree that there are problems in the way reservation is implemented. And there is a lot of criticism and there's a lot of discussion about, certain aspects of the system or the model that we have or about the way it's being implemented. There are certain, debates that are going on there. But as a system, as a concept, I think reservation is fundamental and it has to stay as long as this stays.
To be honest, I still don't get the whole psychology behind the caste system thing. Like, where did it originate from? Why would they even put themselves in that position? Is it because of, I don't know, pride amongst themselves to divide themselves that way, or is it just financial benefits they were getting to divide themselves that way?
No, it's so. I could say a lot of things,
I studied caste system based on what CBSE was teaching you, right?
Yeah.
And they never go deep into it.
Yeah,
They just
don't.
don't.
They don't.
just explain
And
who
if
or
you-
who,
and if
and
you-
this is what they did in their past. And
Yeah.
that's how I allocate. Like, for me in my head, okay, this caste person does that. But those are history,
Yeah,
right? Those are based at the time where everything was different. So I
Yeah.
never understood what the whole actual thing is, and then I still don't, for God's sake, understand why people can still think that way right now. Right?
Yeah,
like you said, it's an echo chamber kind of situation.
yeah. It's an echo chamber that's a problem, and
Yeah, but-
I being the person I am and the beliefs that I have, I would blame. Religion has a huge part to play in this, and people might disagree. It's a very controversial thing to say, but like, I genuinely think.
Isn't caste a tradition?
Yeah, but it comes from. There are Hindu scriptures of the past that specifically have different punishments for people of different castes.
Is it?
Yeah, there's this document called Manusmriti, and it's very celebrated in India
Okay.
because it literally, even in law school, most law schools across the country, they would tell you about the Manusmriti because it is it's a document that codifies laws. So it defines crimes, it gives punishments for crimes. And we had the law of contracts and criminal law and civil law.
What is contracts?
Contract.
Contracts.
Or contract
Okay,
law.
okay.
Civil law, criminal law, family law. So this guy had written an entire treatise and he had codified different laws. And you can see there that for certain sins and certain offenses, punishments are different for different castes. For example, homosexuality, if committed by a forward caste member, as per the Manusmriti, all he needs to do is take a head bath. It was considered a sin then, right, in the document. So he gets rid of his sin by, doing a head bath and like before he performs any pujas or rituals or something. But the punishments are different for different castes. It's not a crime. It's not that huge a crime if committed by, someone of the forward caste. This is something I remember reading.
Okay.
There's also another quote that's very popular, where from the Manusmriti, where they talk about drums, animals, and women are worthy of being beaten. This is a quote that's ascribed to the Manusmriti. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if it exists or not because I've never actually gone through the text, the full text. I don't know, but it's a quote that is. I see it very often, quoted as a part of the Manusmriti.
Is this a religious scripture, or is it?
It's a Hindu religion. Yeah, it's from the Hindu religion. It's a Vedic scripture. Smriti is a type of. It's a part of Hindu law. Yeah, so there's Shruti, Smriti, and there's different.
Okay.
And Manusmriti was written by a sage called Manu.
Okay.
So it's the Smriti of Manu. So it's a huge part. And I think the problem is it has become such a set structure and it's been practiced for millennia. For some people, it's the only thing they have in their lives. Like, that's another problem with eradicating it, is because they literally have nothing to be proud of in their lives. other than the fact that they have an identity and they're a part of a tribe, and that sense of superiority they get from that. It's just there in them.
Yeah, it's so deep rooted. Because isn't it about time that they understand what tradition is and what religion is and separate them, sort of thing? That's why I asked a question if it was a tradition or if it's a part of religion. Because I didn't know that. Because for me, it was more like, okay, there were a certain human beings at a certain time, and they just decided to divide themselves depending on the work they have.
There are systems similar to caste system that's practiced even in other religions. There's sects in Islam. There's like Shias and Sunnis,
and then even in Shias you have Salafi. All this is a whole different thing.
So there are systems that are similar, like division of humans, and then all of that. There are systems like that. But I think with regards to Hinduism, with regards to the caste system that we have in India currently, I think it's become so solidified. It's just been practiced for millennia. I think, and I think religion played a part in solidifying it as well. A lot of people try to come and say, oh, they blame it on the British, and they say, oh, before the British it was all fine.
What?
I've heard this argument. They say, oh, the caste system was there, but we were not discriminating against each other. It was just division of labor. It was just people were just put in separate categories, but there was no oppression that was going on. And they say once the British came, they fucked it all up for us or something. It's not true.
Yeah, it's not true.
We've had problems way before.
There are
that.
some histories which are much different than this. The Britishers were much better than their own Indians sometimes. There was a situation where district collector had to pick up a woman and go to it happened here in Tamil Nadu. There's a history on that. Don't know if I'm right about that, but the history takes that there was this collector who was going off, and he saw this woman cry, and then he stopped and asked what's wrong, and she was about to give birth, but she couldn't go across the road because there were different caste people over there, and they wouldn't allow you. So he decided to take him in his carriage and went through the street, and that became a huge issue. And one of that caste person shot this guy, and they kind of celebrate him as a national hero or something for killing a British guy. Can't get the names right, but I know the story. The origin of this, so they celebrate him as a national hero who was against the Britishers, but in fact he did it for a completely different reason.
I haven't heard of this.
Yeah,
but
I'll get the name right. Actually, I'll put that on my tweet too. So it will be there. What the truth of certain things, because history is important for us. Anyone who comes in and says, "Oh, the situation were different then, and these guys came in and messed it." Show me the history. Then I'll agree to it.
You're right, and it's also a lot to do, I think, with the perception of some people feel like if they lose their privilege for some reason, it feels like they're being oppressed. They're used to a certain way of life, and I think for people to I think it's difficult for people to accept the fact that they're under attack for something they think that only their ancestors did. And that becomes another problem.
It's, for me, because, so this is a small example of what still happens in UAE, Dubai, is the fact that that's the first time I ever experienced a discrimination between white skin and brown skin.
Oh, okay.
So when you're at a situation where you're about to get a job, but then your passport matters, because if you got Indian passport, you won't get the job, but if you're British or whatever, he's white, he gets a job and a better salary and whatever. The situation happens, and you just kind of like, okay, it's not your country, whatever, it happens like that and everything. And you hear about this caste system and this discrimination over here just through inputs from outside, and you never experience it, but you experience different sort of thing, and you expect all Indians is just the same. And then you come down here and it just hits you smack on your face. It gets like a culture shock. It's like, what the hell? Are we actually doing that amongst ourselves? We've got bigger problems. We've got much bigger problems than this stupid thing that we do amongst ourselves.
It's a huge issue. And that's what I meant by, like, you just see the people around you and you just think, this is how the country is. So a lot of people don't know how big a problem caste is. I got to know only because I moved out of Chennai and I saw this happen. Right? For people who of the forward caste who don't have to experience discrimination, when they live in their lives, when they live their entire lives in an urban setting and talking to similar kinds of people, it's never going to strike them that caste system is still a problem. And that's a huge part of the issue, because there are a lot of people going around thinking that it's really not an issue. Because their minds are limited by the fact that they have never experienced it or seen it. And I think, no, that just doesn't happen anymore. That's truly what they believe. And that's an issue. That's because of their privilege, right?
Yeah. I hope those people, if they feel that they are not feeling any benefit even though you're in a privileged caste, go ahead and support the whole fact that nobody should be like that again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That would be a better way to put it for them. Oh man, I got a lot of law questions to ask actually.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I've always had this weird, like, why can't this happen? Like, why can't that happen? What is there to block it? I've always had these questions, right?
Okay.
So we're more of touching on your law.
Okay.
That is the questions, right? So this is a very big question, right? I have to ask it. It was been in my head since when I knew you were a lawyer. Why can't the court, the Supreme Court, have its own force that implements law? And if any certain situation happens which they're involved in, doesn't function under the government, but it functions under the Supreme Court.
Okay, so the way the system is designed, traditionally how you see it is there are three pillars to the democracy. So you say the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. Now, when you create a state, this is the traditional understanding that there are three paths to how you effectively run a country. You have to have one body to create laws and say, this is the law that we're going to, this is the law of the country and all of that. You will have another body to implement these laws and to ensure that these laws are not broken. And you will have a third body to ensure what happens if the law is broken. How do we decide if this particular person has actually broken the law or not? So you have another branch for that, right?
Okay.
So this is how it is set up. But who checks these branches and whether they're doing their jobs properly? That you say, so there's a separation of powers. Like this body, you create the law, you implement the law, you interpret the law, and you say what the law is, what the law means, and you decide whether this person has broken the law or not. These are three separate functions that we have. So it technically is the job of the executive to implement whatever the law Supreme Court says or declares.
Okay.
So if the Supreme Court says, or any other court passes an order, that order becomes, legal. It's something that has to be followed. Something that is binding on everyone. The duty of implementing that falls on the executive. So that's technically how it's supposed to work. So there's no necessary for a separate force of the Supreme Court in terms of the idea behind it. It's the job of the executive, that is the police and all of them, collectors, to implement the law in the way the Supreme Court has interpreted the law. It's the job of the legislatures, which is the MLA and the MPs, to make the law.
Yeah, but when you say three pillars, it sounds much more effective, but it doesn't look like a pillar from where I sit, right? It looks like a pyramid.
It looks like a pyramid?
Yeah.
How so?
Because I feel the judiciary is in the bottom part of it, which is not, and then you have the government, which is in the more powerful part, and the implementing one is under them. And whatever judiciary comes out and says or passes a law is not actually effectively applied because the government decides to interfere with it.
Yeah, that's true. But you should also understand that's not entirely true to describe it as a pyramid, because the government can pass laws, but the Supreme Court has the power to say that law is not valid. For example, 377. It was a crime to have gay sex. That was a law passed by the legislature at that time.
Okay.
Though the branch or the pillar of our democracy that was tasked with making the law.
So when they passed that law
years
ago, did it go through the court?
No,
get
it didn't, because
ratified
this was
and
when
approved?
British was here. So technically, we didn't have this institution. We had
Okay,
different
have
courts.
a lot of old laws, huh?
Yeah, we have a lot of laws. Many of our laws that we still use today, for example, the IPC, the Indian Penal Code,
Yeah.
that's a British law. That was written by the British in 1860.
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought that was
No,
I thought when must have been changed and modified
yeah, of course.
and different.
There's the amendments, but the basic law is still the British law. It was
Okay.
written in the 1800s. And 377 is a part of the IPC, so it was introduced at that time.
Huh.
But the Supreme Court had the power to say this law made by the legislature is just not valid. And that if it violates the Constitution, the Supreme Court has the power to do that. So, to say that the Supreme Court or the judiciary is weaker than the other two is not entirely true.
Okay.
But I can see why the perspective exists.
Yeah.
So I can see that you can't. There's that saying, you can't sue the king, you can't fight against the government in court and win. So that the perception exists, and I can see why it exists. But yeah.
So, can you challenge the court because the law is very old?
No. I mean, that can't be the only reason. The law being very old can be a reflection of how the law is not necessary anymore.
Yeah,
It's not needed anymore.
Obviously, with the fact that see, if I'm going to challenge you, that's not necessary right now. Let's make changes and let's put something else in place for it.
But the thing is, the Supreme Court has the power to say that this law is not valid only if that law violates the Constitution. So there could be a really old law that's completely unnecessary today, but still doesn't violate the Constitution. So then, if that happens, the Supreme Court cannot say this law is not valid, and then it's up to the government to repeal that law, to take back the law, or to introduce a new law, or whatever.
Okay. And do currently have any laws which are passed by legislative or like checked over by the court, right?
Mm.
And then only they approve it. And
No,
then it
it's
goes
not
on.
like that. So the law is passed and it comes into force. So the legislature, the day the legislature says this is the law of the country, and they notify it and all of that, the day that happens, it becomes law and everyone has to follow it.
Okay.
If you think that law violates the Constitution, someone has to file a challenge to that law in court.
Okay.
And then the court will decide whether, the law is constitutional or unconstitutional. So presumption is that the law is constitutional. So when the legislature makes it, it automatically comes into force. But then if you feel it's unconstitutional, you can go to the court.
So if you do want to change any particular set of laws, you have to go through the court, even if it's a government law.
If you want to challenge the law, if you want to
Yeah.
say it's invalid, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not invalid, then it's up to the government to make whatever changes they want.
Ved, this is always an interesting topic, which I used to tell my other people on podcasts too, and I do tell this to a lot of people. Why aren't our politicians given a sort of exam like UPSC exams for executives? For this, I'm not saying executives, the guys who execute the law. The UPSC exams for IAS, IPS officers,
Yeah, that's
and
executive.
IFS. Yeah.
That's executive.
Why don't they have the same sort of exams for politicians?
Because I think it's fine. I think we don't need that.
Why not?
So when I was younger, I was really excited by that that prospect of saying, we need educated leaders, and we have to ensure that every person who stands in elections needs to have some sort of a minimum qualification. You either have to be a graduate or you have to at least finish school or something, so that we have educated leaders who make laws. I was really excited by that prospect. But the important thing to also look at is that, one, education does not necessarily give you a good character. Having a degree or having some sort of educational qualification does not necessarily make you a good person. So to use that as a measure itself in public service is wrong. There is of course the whole concept of, but they will know what to do better. If they are good people, an educated person would know what to do, they'd be able to analyze situations.
Not always.
That's the
People
perception.
know how to do that things, right? But then
And it's important to have representatives, right? So the bigger problem is that you need our whole democracy is based on us choosing who we want to represent us, right? And I think we shouldn't limit people into saying, you choose your representative, but choose only people of this particular group. I think if an illiterate person, illiterate is a person who's never gone to school, is a really, really good person in the locality and people want him to be their representative, I think they should be allowed to choose him. You can't take that choice away from the voter. And it's also important, like just an example, one of the greatest chief ministers that Tamil Nadu has had, historically, was someone who was uneducated. And he was the one who made schools, who boosted the quality of government schools, and he really, really put a lot of emphasis on education when he was the chief minister. But he was an uneducated person. So this just goes to show that,
See, there is an argument on that. I'd like to make an argument on that, right? If he is an uneducated chief minister who came in and made a lot of reform towards education, he grew up and brought up in an era where education was not as readily available as it is now.
True, but...
Right? So for someone at that time to come up like that, be for that community and people love him for who he is, and great, that's amazing. That's the strength they had. Because they weren't given the equal opportunity to have an education. Because say, I don't know which chief minister you're talking about, but I suppose he grew up under the British time too.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But I'm not sure either when he grew up. He probably did grow up during the British time. Yeah,
or
he did.
Even
Definitely.
after that, or even after the independence, India is fairly new. Not everyone had education, right? So, don't you think all those olden chief ministers or our country leaders who were there before, who grew up at that era, made emphasis on education right now, do we still need people who are not educated in governing a country?
See, it's not about whether we need... I think the fundamental aspect is that there's this tendency to assume that an educated person will do better for the country.
No, he won't. Most probably he won't, but you can at least have... See, an educated person... This is how people look at things, okay? When an educated person presents a fact against another educated person, at least it leads to a discussion of certain things. Right? You can't have just bashing around and saying, it's good of the people rather than what the facts provide. Like take a small example like climate change.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll have uneducated people who would actually provide facts too.
Okay.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But then when you have... Okay, I'm stuck right now. I'm stuck. I had a question over here, but I just got stuck.
No, see, I think the problem is, I get it, no one's denying the importance of education. Alright, so education is extremely important. I think I'd love to live in a society where literally every kid goes to school and we wouldn't need to have this discussion because everybody is educated. I'd love to live in a society like that. I think education is super important. Everybody requires education. Everybody needs education. But I don't think the fact that you are uneducated should disqualify you from public service. I don't think that you should be stopped from...
Again, when you come to this, I'm not talking about doing colleges or something like that and then you have those degrees or certificates, you can become a leader.
Okay.
That's not what I was actually talking about.
Yeah.
So what I was talking about is UPSC is a very tough examination to get through, and you need degrees before you actually go through those exams. You have to showcase them.
Yeah.
Like I have this. What I'm talking about is a different kind of testing system, which actually tests if is there a possible way to come up with a test that tests the fact of their knowledge on certain things general knowledge on certain things before they become a candidate. I'm not asking about tough questions, general knowledge questions.
What would you ask?
Most of the time I feel is when I see a candidate, I just think, oh my God, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Everyone feels that way.
Yeah.
Why do we feel that way? Because we feel this guy would not even get through an IQ test.
Yeah.
Why can't we just have an IQ test for beginners?
Yeah.
Put an IQ test in. I know there are a lot of politicians who are 80 and they're so damn smart. They can easily get through an IQ test. There are politicians who are 40s who can get through IQ test. But then you have politicians who are 25 is the age you can become a candidate, I suppose.
Yeah.
So 25 till 30, 32, 33, bullshit IQ, no general knowledge. And you're running it on people's emotions and behavior. That's not what we want in a country that needs to develop, right?
That's true. So here's the thing. So I completely agree that an educated candidate is better than an uneducated candidate.
General knowledge candidate. Let's just put it that way.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Anyone who has, I think that for a voter, it can be a decision he can make. It can be a factor influencing who to vote for.
Yeah.
But I don't think you should stop people from becoming candidates itself. I think you can tell people, hey, vote for educated people. You can say, please ensure that educated people win elections. Please vote for educated people. Please vote for people who've had, certain experiences in life or a certain outlook in life.
That's awareness. I'm talking about implementing a law where can they come up with something like that?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they should. I think people who are not educated are citizens of the country, and I don't think I personally don't think I can go up to someone like that and say, you know what, you are not allowed to even try to become a public servant simply because of the fact that you don't have this and you don't have that. And
I don't know. I think that when you have an IQ test, it is different than the particular ideology and other.
No, I agree with that. I'm just saying, even then.
I understand where. I mean, I don't understand where you're coming from, to be honest.
No, that's the thing. So you could have someone that is. It's a decision that I believe that voters have to make. I don't think the whole concept of democracy, the whole idea of democracy for me is that everyone's voice is heard and everybody is important and everybody is equal no matter who they are, where they come from, what they have done in life, what they have achieved. Everyone needs to be treated equally and the people together as a collective have power. That is the idea of democracy, ruled by the people. And I think when that is the ideal we hold ourselves to, I think it's unfair for me to go to someone and say, you can't try to be a representative of the people.
Remember, just before we started a podcast, we were talking about unless they don't get into trouble, they don't do anything, right?
Yeah.
This could be one of those things.
So
this test could be like a trouble for them.
No, that's the thing. See, you look at it as trouble, right? I'm just saying,
No, it's a trouble for them, for the politicians, because it's like, oh shit, I need to be at least knowledgeable about certain things before I go out and convince people of my talks.
Yeah, that's sure. I'm sure that could be the case. But even if that is the reason why the system is not being implemented, I still wouldn't want it. I still would say, I just can't tell a person. See, a criminal is a different question, right? A person who's done crimes against society, you can say you've done a crime against society, you can't be allowed to, try and stand in for society.
True, I agree.
I think that's fair.
That's fair.
But I think for people who've not done crimes and people who've just living their life, and who wants to get into public service, I don't think I should limit him. I don't think I should say no, don't. And I think voters should have the option to say, hey, he doesn't seem to be too brainy. He has no idea what he's saying. He wants to put thermocol to prevent water from evaporating. That guy is an idiot. I will vote for someone better. I think that's a choice that voters have to make. I think I will not regulate it and say you can't even come and try to convince voters. If the voters think you're good, if the voters believe in you, let them vote for you. But I think voters have to be more aware of who they're voting for and what type of people they send in to represent them. I think that's where we need to change.
That's true.
Yeah.
What about debates? Why don't we have debates?
That's an age-old question. I wish we had the answer to. I think I'd love to see a debate between prime ministerial candidates or whatnot.
Yeah. I'd love to see that. More better and much more. Even anyone can just literally see through it.
Yeah, I'd love to see that, but I think even in other countries where you do have these debates, they're usually run by one particular news channel, and they usually have 3 or 4 rounds of. I mean, let's not go there, but
Yeah.
over here at least I think the different. The reason I don't know why, probably because in the current election that's going on right now, you are not voting directly for the prime ministerial candidates. No one in India does that.
Yeah, why not?
So we vote for each of our the idea is from bottom up, right? Because we want to see this country ruled by people. So the idea is basically each constituency, each separate part of the country that we've divided into, each constituency selects one person who they feel represents their interests the best, right? And we send X number of people from each part of the country. We send one person. And all of them decide amongst themselves. They propose a leader, and that person becomes the government if he has the support of the majority of the MPs. If he does not have the support of the majority of the MPs, he can't become the leader of the government. He can't do that. So that is the system. So you nominate a member of the parliament, either the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, whatever. You nominate them as the person who will head the government, and they become the prime minister. And he has the support of so many MPs. The system is run. That is how the system is supposed to be. You are actually voting for people who will represent your local area. Now, political parties field candidates, and unfortunately, the practical reality of this system is that we look at who the leader is, and we have no idea who our actual representative is. Right?
Yeah.
If you ask someone, many people might not know the name of their MLA or their MP. They won't know who he is. The idea is that it becomes, it's a system where two central leaders, they're the face that's projected on you. And if you want him to be chief minister, you will vote for the person in your constituency who's going to support him. That is a person from his political party. And you vote for him. And that's how elections are run in this country. A debate, for the debate to be perfect and ideal, it would involve debates in each constituencies.
Yeah, that is
candidates.
definitely required.
Yeah.
Each state, each constituency, they just get together one particular day and it's done.
Yeah.
And there's so many news channels everywhere they can do it.
They can definitely do it.
Yeah.
I think
It's so easy. It's a good business. I don't know why they never think about it.
no, like you said, they'll get in trouble. They'll be exposed. Then people will
Chennai
never
itself,
vote
there
for
were
him.
like
Yeah.
what, 3 constituencies or
Yeah,
4 here?
three.
3?
Yeah.
So you get each constituency, you do a debate. One
So,
channel does
yeah.
it over here. It's good business for
Okay,
you. You've got a
that-
number of viewers who look into you.
So
Then you can do it in Tanjore district, this district, that district. It would run.
yeah, the other
Man,
difference is
it's
that
a 1 month of festival. Why not make it much better or 2 months of running it beforehand?
the difference again is the number of candidates you'll have per constituency. You will have 16, 17 people. Some
Yeah, I had a
places
question about
25. Yeah.
Why are there so many?
Because the system is open to everyone.
Okay,
Like
but
anyone.
doesn't it look like a corporate company for me? That's what it looks like.
Sorry.
See, I vote a particular person because he holds on to a certain
Political party.
Not political party, certain ideas.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I support that party.
Yeah.
He's from that party.
Yeah.
Right? But then you go on after you're done with your election, you merge with another party which their ideas I don't like.
Huh.
This is like Unilever merging with, I don't know, Martin and Lockheed.
Yeah.
Then how am I, what am I then? Oh, is it a fun for you guys to come here and talk to me about a certain idea? And
Yeah.
then there are 16 people and I like one guy.
Yeah.
And he gets the most number of votes and he still goes and merges with the other one. It's
Yeah.
like, dude,
Okay. So again, that's
Yeah.
again from the perspective of the party. Right? So the only time that will happen is when there is no leader who enjoys the support of majority of the members of the parliament. Right? So if there's no one clear winner, that's when this happens. So for example,
why
what
are
happened?
we giving it space for that error of not having a clear majority winner?
It's not about us giving space
The
for
simple
that to
question is
happen.
why can't we be a two-party state?
Huh?
Two-party country kind of thing.
Even US is not a two-party country.
There are three. There's usually an independent, but his majority is two.
No. There's more parties than just the Democratic and the Republic Party. There are multiple parties. There's the Libertarian Party. There's so many other parties, and there are independent candidates. It's just that in the US, as with many other countries in US, it's not a two-party state. And I don't think it should be. I think like the fundamental idea of democracy is that you get to represent yourself as yourself. And I think people who look at, the two big political parties that exist and say, see, I don't like either of them. I think they should not be restricted from starting a new political party of their own. So to say that, to limit it and say, no, we'll have only two, and you're either with this party or with the other party, you can't be anything else, that's just wrong. People should have the ability to say, you know what, I'll create a third party and I'll fight both of them because I don't like either of them.
The idea of that is beautiful.
Yeah.
Right. It's a beautiful idea. Like, yeah, definitely this election, I'm tired of two of them. Look at me, give me a third or fourth alternative.
Yeah.
Cool, right? But in practicality...
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing to achieve. It makes things much harder.
It's not how it is running as you're supposed to, like, in theory, looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it makes things much harder. But I think, again, the idea of restricting democracy to certain groups, or the idea of restricting that is just, I just can't accept it. I don't think it's a democracy anymore. Then if you say, if you're forced to make a choice between two people for the sake of convenience because it becomes too difficult if you have too many, I don't think that's more important than this.
Okay. Yeah. So I asked these questions because I grew up in a monarch.
Okay. Yeah.
So for me, an idea of democracy like this in depth,
yeah,
I would love to like talk and understand more further on it.
Yeah.
Because from where I come from, it's like, hey man, it's either this or that. You know? It's like, why mix it up with a lot of things and then, it always looked like that. But when you come here, it's kind of like in practicality, it looks so messed up. And you're just thinking, why do you want to do this then? It just becomes like, I can go become a politician because I just want to have financial gain out of it.
Yeah.
It becomes like that. It looks like that, which is not supposed to. It's a beautiful
it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful concept. But the people you have don't really represent that idea too well.
It's like, I have no time for it, but I want someone else who's making time enough for it to make things happen for good people.
Yeah.
Just make it happen. I want to support him to do it happen while I'm focusing on something else. Right? But then when the whole thing messes up, it's like...
Yeah, so we definitely need a more robust and a better political system in practical life. We do need that. And for that, I think number one, voters need to be more aware. I think voters need the whole concept of voting for your caste, voting for the person who gives you money, or voting for members of your religion. That still happens a lot in our country. I think that's why and the vote based on nothing, no rational thinking, but mere faith and allegiance to this one leader. Like without thinking as to whether he's a good candidate or not. There's a lot of that going on. And I think, if we talk about voter awareness, and if we try to ensure that the voter as such is someone who can make independent, rational decisions, think about a person who stands for the election and votes, that's when the system will get better. Because if we can stop cash for votes, and if we can somehow ban like people trying to influence others to vote on the basis of their caste and on the basis of their religion, it's already illegal, but if you implement it properly, if you try to ensure that doesn't happen.
I wanted to ask, that was my next question. How are they just talking that in public? If it is illegal according to law, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually, they can't
normal.
They can't ask for votes in the name of religion. No one can do that. That's a law. But there are people who do that.
Yeah, why is there no proper punishment for it? I suggest a punishment.
No,
we give them a fine.
In law, there is a punishment in law.
What is the punishment?
So, like, if you're caught for bribing voters, and if you're convicted by a court, and if you're caught of any crime for that matter, especially with regards to asking votes in the name of religion, and or asking votes in the name of
caste,
it's a violation of the election code of conduct, the model code of conduct. And you can if you do that once during a campaign speech or a campaign rally, if you violate the model code of conduct, you can be punished by saying, no, you're not allowed to campaign for so many days. you're not allowed to do this for so many days. You can't campaign for your party during election season.
Okay.
There are actually punishments that are in place for that. The problem is people get away with it.
How effective are the
Yeah,
Now,
how are we
I've
implementing
got a
it?
question on this, right?
Yeah.
If you're stopped if you're given a punishment of not campaigning for 72 hours or whatever, 36, 24 hours or whatever, which
Yeah.
has recently been happening,
Yeah.
they still do. You've got Facebook, you've got whatever, and there are people who will talk for you. So how do you control this?
Yeah, I mean, it's really not that effective. And also, but with regards to Facebook, right? If even Facebook posts can be checked by the code of conduct. So, for example, if you're running a political party that has a Facebook post,
Yeah,
right now,
definitely it will be checked. How many of you shouldn't post that.
no, sometimes actually you need approval before posting.
Okay.
I didn't know this until I was, I attended a political event last year where they had four representatives from 4 parties and we were allowed to ask questions. It happened sometime last month.
Okay.
And there on stage, these guys were telling me, these politicians were talking about, how it was a problem for them to use social media effectively because they were waiting on approval from the election commission to, give their approval for these posts. So before even the post went up on their official Facebook pages, they were checked by the election commission. I don't know if that's happening in this election.
See, that is still not an effective punishment.
Yeah, and no, it's
you
not
know
a
why?
punishment at all,
Because
but-
when I'm talking relates to that whatever time ban they give them. Okay, you don't post it because you've got a time ban. I understand that you have to get
No,
approval.
not time ban. Not just time ban. They can just say, don't post this.
No, I meant to say if they're given punishment because
Okay.
of using caste and
Okay.
religion. That's what
Okay.
we were earlier talking about, right?
Yeah.
So if you're given a ban, social media is still active, in which you may not do any post, but people who are supporting you will talk for you for the next 24 to 36
Yeah.
hours, right?
Yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Why can't they introduce a punishment which is like, look, you said this thing, you asked for votes based on your religion. So you get a fine of 20,000 votes not being counted. Or equally diverted to other parties.
Yeah, I mean, there's no law like that, but I don't know, man.
Think about it, bro.
Yeah, I'll think about it. I've never thought of this.
Like, somebody goes on stage, says certain things to get votes,
Yeah.
and it's proven to the election commission. You cannot stop them campaigning because it's social media era right now. We're in virtual world.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. Even if you don't there are hundreds and thousands of people who will talk for you for the next 72 hours
Yeah.
or 36 hours.
Yeah.
They're still gonna convince so many people to vote for you.
Yeah.
So why not? This is the fine. You don't get 100,000 votes. You don't get 150,000.
How do you
votes.
come
Okay.
up with the number, though? How do you decide what number is?
Well, how do you come up with your speeding ticket? How much you're going to pay for it?
Okay, like that.
Yeah. If you go at a certain speed, you pay a certain amount of money. Why?
Okay.
Because that's the amount, average calculation. This is me making up, but I don't know if it's facts. I think it is an average calculation of the injury that you might commit to someone.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what it is. A friend of mine in Dubai was telling me why they charge you 800 dirhams for this level of speeding.
Oh, okay.
Something, you want to drink water?
No, I'm good.
So why not just implement that, right?
Yeah,
Simple, easy.
That's something to think about. Yeah.
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 We have got technology, man. Why not just use it?
Yeah.
Then puts everyone on an edge.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's something to think about. I never thought of that.
Shit.
I don't know how many people have thought of that.
Before the podcast, we were talking about legalization of marijuana.
Yeah.
Should we go there?
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
man.
Okay.
Go for it, yeah.
Yeah. So before, I think was it during 80s when India agreed to the law of making it illegal?
Yeah, I'm not sure of the year,
When
but it should be around
President
that time.
Nixon's time when India signed an agreement along with the United Nations. On
Yeah. There's this United Nations treaty for prevention of drug abuse and all of that. And we signed on to that. I'm not sure of the year. And it's most of the countries have drug laws on the basis of that treaty. And a large portion of that was contributed to by the United States. Yeah, but that's why. So we have this act called the Narcotic Substances and Psychotropic Substances Act. So that's the act under which you have schedules, and they say marijuana is illegal, LSD is illegal, cocaine, all of that, heroin, everything. Yeah, so under that act, marijuana is listed along with all these drugs as a scheduled drug. That's illegal and it's a crime. So it comes from that treaty that you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay. So, how far do you think we are from hopefully trying to get this into a massive movement?
I'm sure it's a movement already. There's something called the legalization movement that's happening. They hold protests and all of that. It's the concept. I think the problem is social stigma around it, which is one reason why people, number one, don't openly support it. They don't talk about it as often because it's looked at as something that's cheap. It's not viewed in a very good perspective, and I think that's the reason why the movement is not as big as I think it can be if people were expressing themselves freely. I think a lot of it has to do with the social stigma, and people don't want to be associated with it, even though they do do it. In public, they don't want to say they do it. They don't want to support it because of reactions from others. I think that's a lot to do with it. I think social stigma is actually a big reason as to why it's still a crime. I think I don't see any logical reason for it to be a crime. But I feel like any political party that says, we're going to remove this, it's not going to be a crime anymore, faces that pressure of social stigma. And it's very difficult for candidates to go out and say they support this. It's changed in the recent past. There are quite a few politicians who support legalization.
What they have?
There are Shashi
I
Tharoor.
wanted to know this.
Shashi Tharoor says it should be legalized. Menaka Gandhi from BJP said in an interview that at least for medical purposes it must be legal. There are two Aam Aadmi Party or one Aam Aadmi Party guy who wants to make it legal. So there are politicians who do want it to happen, but they're not going to get enough support in the parliament for it to actually be passed as a law because of the social stigma around it. I think having it as a crime is just illogical.
Yeah, it is.
Because people, it makes no sense because number one, alcohol and cigarettes are both legal,
Yeah.
right? And as a substance, there's enough to show that this is not as dangerous as either alcohol or cigarettes. They're both more addictive. They're both more harmful. And when those can be legal, I think I'll tell you why those are legal. In my view, the only reason the cigarette, if tomorrow in India passed a law banning the sale of cigarettes, and if these companies challenged it in the court and said, this violates our right to trade or freedom to do business, this violates that right of ours, they will lose.
What, the cigarette companies?
They will lose. The law will be valid because
Okay.
technically under the Indian Constitution, we have this concept whereby we think the right to sell alcohol and the right to sell cigarettes are not your rights. They are not fundamental rights. If the government wants to stop it, you cannot challenge it on that ground. And so technically all these companies are running because we don't have a law to stop it. And no government will ever ban it, in my view, for two reasons. Number one, cigarette companies are really, really rich.
They are rich. I
They're-
was just about to ask you that.
they're
Can't
they're
they-
huge. They're
Yeah.
really rich.
Well,
They
not
can
let a law
lobby
like
very
this
well.
pass.
You can't. It will not happen. And the second thing about it is, a man, and this is actually a quote from one of these politicians, is like, if you have a man holding a glass of wine or sipping beer, the stigma that you associate with him is not as harsh as the stigma you associate with someone who smokes ganja. And that is, the reason for that is a rich man's intoxicant. An expensive bottle of wine, it's class. And there is this theory that this is about classism, where the poor man's intoxicant is looked at as something
that
cheap
you
and
get, yeah.
it's
Which
not
is naturally grown.
yeah, when in the rich man's intoxicant is legal, even though it's more harmful. So that's that angle of classism that some people try to get into it. But I just feel this it comes from a place of this whole drug war that the United States started, and where you have this massive campaign to eradicate drugs. And it started from a lot of false information on marijuana and propaganda on marijuana. I think, to be honest, if cigarettes and alcohol are legal, there's no reason why this shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense to have a law like that.
I think it's because it will affect their sales. Don't you think?
Maybe.
Because if you legalize marijuana over here, people are going to consume that more than they would consume alcohol. Because if you're addicted to, like I had addiction to cigarette for a long time, for 5 years.
Okay.
It's a true story, man. 5 years. I started in 2013. I was like, I'm going to do this. I never did that before. I was 23 that time. And I was like, I'm going to do this. And I promised myself I'm going to stop after 5 years. It was so hard. And because of, marijuana and everything, I just woke up one day and I was like, that's it. I'm not going to do it. And that's it. I stopped.
Yeah, I mean, so
that's an effect you get. What do you think? There'll be so many people who will get that and they'll stop using the other two.
Maybe that's a possibility. That's a very real possibility. But I'm saying even if that's not your concern, even then, it's a substance that is useful for certain medicinal purposes.
Exactly.
Glaucoma for your eyes and for
pain relief,
post-traumatic stress disorder, and post-cancer, your chemotherapy, it helps in recovery.
And your meditation and aligning your chemicals in your head properly.
Maybe, but see, so at least, I don't know, I think at least for medicinal purposes it should be legal. If you're not going to legalize it as a recreational drug, fine, it's okay. It's not okay, but fine, okay, whatever.
Concede to it right now. If you want to test the society and see how it is, just do it medicinal.
Yeah, at least for medicinal purposes, it has to be legal.
Yeah.
You can't keep something that's actually useful for the human body away from. You can't keep people from accessing that. Just because you have a society with the product as stigma with the product as such in society. I think for the people who really need it, for glaucoma patients and for to help with chemotherapy, post-chemotherapy, and to help with PTSD or whatever other medicinal uses the plant has, people should be allowed to access it for their health. At least that's the bare minimum that we have to go to. So I think it should become legal.
It's better that than getting some pharmaceutical products.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's whether you believe that or not, it's another health option that you're denying people from.
Yeah.
And a person who wants to opt for that for medical purposes must be allowed to get it. That's it.
I think as a whole of community itself, it will bring tons of changes because of this. It will. Thinking way of people, they'll be much more calmer, much more responsible. And I feel that. I mean, there are two stages of it. There is obviously the good and the bad. Bad one being lazy all the time, and the other one is actually doing something productive with it.
Yeah, no, see, that's the thing, right? Like, I'm not even going to go into whether it's beneficial to society or not. Like, that's not even a debate I need to go into at this point. I'm saying the government has the power to regulate what I can and cannot consume, definitely. But I'm saying it's completely arbitrary for you to allow it, and you cannot regulate personal choice that does not harm you.
Yeah, how weird is it that someone else telling you what you can eat or drink?
Yeah, you can't regulate personal choices that doesn't harm society around you.
Yeah.
You can do it to the extent, for example, you can have cocaine illegal, definitely, because it's something that you can overdose and die on. It's dangerous for you as a human being. So it's a personal choice you're making. Yes, it doesn't affect anyone else. Yes, but it affects you in a very bad way. You can get addicted and you can die. That's something the government has the power to regulate. You can't overdose and die on marijuana.
Yeah,
that's impossible.
It's impossible.
And
all you're going to do is freak out and be paranoid for a while.
Yeah, max, right? So
yeah.
I think so. If it's not something that dangerous to you as a human being, and if it's not harming anyone around you, there's no reason it should be illegal. I'm not going to say marijuana is harmless. Maybe
it is harmful for people. Like I think people like with schizophrenic,
Yeah.
It might go both ways for them.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying even for normal people, I'm not going to come and say it's a good habit. Okay, no one's saying that. No one's saying, oh, it's a positive habit that needs to be spread throughout society.
Yeah.
All we're saying is that if people want to do it, let them do it. You know, they're not harming anybody. They're not harming themselves to a great big deal as they're doing it with alcohol and cigarettes.
Exactly.
So, and if that's legal,
Yeah.
I think this definitely should be.
Why deny us to make a choice whether it's going to be harmful or
Yeah,
harmless for me
yeah.
while using it, right?
Yeah, I think it makes no sense. I think the criminal part of it makes no sense. Definitely no.
Man, I think they should move to at least CBD products if they don't want to go for THC products over here. Because,
Yeah,
move into that area at least. Medicinally, everyone's good with it, and give us people or old age over here who suffer through chronic pains and everything. They may not like the whole idea of it, but
Yeah.
once anyone would do anything to get over a pain, by the way.
yeah, maybe.
You know?
Yeah,
There's certain sections of society or group who may not like certain things, but once they know that it eases your pain, it takes away your pain, and it is legally allowed by the government. The government says it's okay.
yeah,
It's gonna benefit a lot more people.
yeah, yeah. It does have properties, and it does have characteristics that can be useful to a lot of people. And I think for people, at least, like I said, at least for these medicinal uses, it must definitely be legalized soon. I think we still have a long way to go before it becomes a recreational drug that's accepted. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But for medicinal purposes, at least, I think shouldn't take too long, because already there are voices in Parliament talking about this. Like I said,
I saw this article a couple of years ago and I got super excited about it. I was like, I want to go to India, man. It's the right time to.
yeah, they were talking about it. There's this one member of Parliament who tried introducing it in the Parliament. And
Yeah, as a bill or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think that was an article.
yeah, he tried that, but it got shut down. Like, didn't get
Everyone
support.
like, no.
Yeah, that's all.
You're doing it. No, nahi chalta hai yahan pe. But although it is so normal amongst us, like it's such a beautiful thing, because when I was coming down from Dehradun to Lucknow, we were in the vehicle and all a bunch of us guys, it's first time I'm meeting them, and they're lawyers, by the way.
Yeah,
They studied in Aligarh University, Muslim
yeah.
University, and they're lawyers, and they're writing the exams to be judge and all that,
yeah,
Pretty cool people. And when we were coming down, and we stopped at one corner of the street, and then I'm just walking down the pathway, and I see it growing on the road. And I was like, what the hell? It's the first time I'm seeing it, Then I called him, I was like, is it allowed here? They go like, bro, it's natural, There's nothing, nobody's specifically doing this. It just grows here. I was like, holy shit. And I actually plucked one of the leaf, and I kept it inside my book.
okay.
And it was like, it's a live one I saw, in real. So something that is naturally, grown.
Yeah.
It's very,
Yeah, it's not
very
like it's a chemical
fascinating for
drug
me,
or something. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
a lot of things. Like you see Narcos and all these things and everything, and then you see something in real like that. It's like,
yeah.
shit, it naturally grows,
Yeah.
Because you hear a lot of people say it's natural. When I was first I heard about it or introduced to it, I was like, dude, it's natural. It just grows naturally. I'm like, wow, shit, that's what it is. It's a good thing, man. Yeah, man. So interesting conversation we're having. You being a lawyer, but we haven't spoke about your comics a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many gigs do you do nowadays?
There's no regular count of it or something. So I did 2-3 shows last month.
Standout shows for you, like your specials or
No, I don't have specials yet. I don't have specials. So it's mostly a bunch of comics each getting like 15 minutes and 20 minutes on stage. So I've been doing a couple a month or something for the past few months, like from Jan, I guess. And yeah, so it's you do get shows. There are a lot of venues to perform, right? And there are open mics where you can go test out your material.
Isn't that amazing? In Chennai, it's actually happening like that.
Yeah, I mean it's growing
Yeah.
and it's great. It's great that, and I think more people should do it. I think we need people need to be a lot more regular to open mics. People need to. That's the only way you're going to get better at the art. So
Yeah.
it's good that there are so many platforms available right now. It's great.
How many years are you doing this?
So my first public show was Jan 26, 2017. That was my first ticketed show.
2017.
Yeah. And
So you've been doing open mics even before that?
I was doing open mics for like 2 to 3 months before that. So 2016 end is where I started going to open mics. Got my first show in
Oh yeah,
2017.
that was at like 21 when you were 21.
Yeah. Yeah, I was 21.
Nice.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that was fun. It was fun. I mean, it's crazy because up until that point, I think I'd gotten into stand up a year before that. Until then, I didn't know what stand up was.
Yeah, but why did you get into stand up?
I was-
After doing law and everything.
No, I got into stand up as a you look at all YouTube videos of Russell Peters and that's the first thing you see. I was a fan of stand up comedy for a long time. Like I used to watch comedy shows on YouTube or whatever.
Okay.
Not full shows, but like on random clips that show up when you're going down the wormhole or whatever, you'd see a comedy show and you laugh at it.
Yeah.
But I really started enjoying stand-up comedy, like actually searching for stand-up comedy as an art form. I think, I don't know, sometime in second year of college or third year of college or something like that. Because that was when, by mistake or less by luck, we had torrented one of Russell Peters' shows. And then I came home and that was the first time I actually saw a stand-up show with the purpose of finding stand-up. I just randomly saw the show and I was like, hey, this is a great art form. Like, that it really appealed to me. I enjoyed it so much. And I just started looking into stand-up for a while. I would just consistently look for specials and I'd just watch shows. And then around that time, there was this comedian Essay, who's one of the biggest comics
Oh
from
yeah,
Chennai.
he's Essay, right? Arvind Essay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. So one day on Facebook, I saw a video of his. And I think that was the first person I saw from Chennai or from,
Is
from
that
Chennai.
the joke
before me.
about that,
No, it's him in a
the Hard
train.
Rock Cafe one?
No, this is before that.
okay,
This is even before that. So
okay.
it's about him going to a train and like basically him and his friend in a train, something like that. It was hilarious to me when I saw it, and it was the first time I saw someone from Chennai do stand up. And I thought, hey, people can do this. It's not a foreign art form. We can also do this. And then there were a lot of North Indian comics who became popular, like Kanin Gill and all of them. So for a while I was just sitting in my home and I'd be like, man, think if I could do this. And it was never a serious thought. It would just be like, I'd be watching something, I'd be like, wow, I wish I could do that. And then my elder brother became a comic and he started actually performing in shows. And I was like, oh, okay, this is actually possible. Like, this is something that you can actually do. You can actually...
He started doing that in Hyderabad, right?
Yeah, he became a comic in Hyderabad.
Yeah.
And until then I was just been a fan who was wishfully thinking, maybe I wish I could have done that or something. And I looked at my elder brother do it in Hyderabad and I was like, oh, this is something that it's possible for someone to do this, for me to do this. And then I look around and there was this random open mic event that came up, conducted by one group. It was an event on feminism. And they said, oh, it's an open mic, you can come perform whatever, if you want to do stand-up or music or poetry or whatever, you just want to speak, you can come and speak. But the theme of the event is feminism. And I saw that and I was like, for a while I'd been thinking, oh, there should be some venue for me to try stand-up. So I just called them up and I said, hey, I'd like to perform. And they said, yeah, sure, come. They gave me the date and time and all of that. And that was my first stand-up comedy experience. Me was going to a room full of feminists and performing stand-up. And I'm a feminist too. I consider myself a feminist. So for me, I was interested in the event as such. But then I also got my first experience of performing stand-up. That was around August in 2016. And then I went back to college, so I couldn't perform as much. Came back to Chennai in November, December that year. So that November and December, I was very regular at open mics. January 26, I got my first show.
For sure.
Yeah.
Since then, it's been
a few. It's been...
almost a couple of years actually. And then now you do a lot of 15 minutes. Have you bombed yet?
I've bombed a lot of times. you have to. I think the first few performances were bombs.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Every comic is bomb. Like in open mics, you bomb regularly. I bomb a lot. But like, definitely, dude. But that's the whole point of it, right? You try, you test out your material, you
Yeah.
bomb. If it doesn't work, it just means you need to work on your material. If it works, great, you put it in a show. So I think like bombing is just a part of being a comic or a part of being a performing artist. You're going to have that experience on stage. Important thing is not to get disheartened by it and think that, if you go up on stage and nobody laughs, nobody even giggles for 5 minutes and you walk out. It's important to not take it as a sign that you need to stop comedy or this is not for you.
How's the camaraderie? The companionship between
Oh.
comedians, especially when you bomb and then you're out, because I can literally imagine that feeling, when you're just like coming off the stage and completely feeling like an idiot.
Yeah, people make fun of you. It'll happen. The host will go up on stage and roast your attempt at comedy. It'll happen.
Yeah, that puts the whole thing down, It's like calm down. If you can breathe
Yeah, I mean,
at that time when the host roasts you,
yeah, that's what will happen. It'll be like, okay, now to resume with our comedy show, and then they'll call on the next artist or something, or they say, oh, he tried, and they make some joke about you. That's usually what happens. But usually whenever someone, at least whenever I've seen people talk about quitting comedy, like seriously because they feel like they're not good enough. Comics have come to the circuit for a while and then they're like, yeah, no, I'm not. You know what? I'm not good enough. I think I'm going to quit. I think I've not seen any comic say, people were always trying to talk people out of quitting. And saying, no, it's not, you had a bad show, but doesn't mean you should quit. People, and that's happened to everyone. Like, I've thought about quitting in the middle. I've seen a lot of people think about quitting in the middle. But you always try to pull them back in and try to reassure them that, it's not over. You go on, you perform, you'll get better.
Yeah, it's a good tight-knit community.
Yeah.
On this matter especially.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a very rare art form.
It's getting more, I think it should be more common.
It should be more common, but the knack of it
Yeah.
is like, it actually brings out people. Like, dude, surprisingly, you haven't studied mechanical engineering. So, yeah, so doing something else like that where you're just like, you're doing it, but then you've got this sudden knack to actually go on stage and make people's life happy.
Yeah.
It's
beautiful, man. When you go on stage and you say a joke and people laugh, that's the best feeling in the world.
Like they'll go home and sleep. That joke will run in their sleep also. They'll be like, oh shit, that was funny, dude. And then he's just sleep. Actually, the point of the seeing a comedy show in real is a much different experience than you would get by just seeing it on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely.
And people should really go down and enjoy that feeling.
It's the atmosphere, dude. It's like the whole vibe of being in a room full of people who are there to have a good time, who are there to relax, and who are there to have fun. Definitely a whole different vibe from watching the show on TV in your home or on your computer.
And if you're lucky, you get roasted as a crowd.
Yeah.
Your humility level increases, dude. You're so humble after that. You just literally don't care. Dude, I got roasted in Dubai. They do the same stand-up comedy gig, open mic kind of sort of thing. So we go in, it's free show, we pay whatever we feel like, kind of scenario, just to support the whole program and stuff. So this is one common friend of ours who does this. And it's, like I said, pain in the ass. You're on the crowd and then we'll just pick you on.
Yeah.
But you become so humble after that too.
Yeah.
So it feels good. The whole experience of actually going and seeing that happen.
Yeah.
And, even if you get roasted, you just feel funny. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah, you unless the I think people enjoy it. Like, if you're a part of the crowd and the comedian talks to you, it's great. I mean, I've always wanted that to happen. So
they should.
It's crazy, but that's the amazing part of being a comic, or I think any performing artist is knowing that your work is appreciated, like the audience is having a good time. And for a comic, that's laughter, and that's like the best thing. So when you're on stage, you'll feel very shitty if your jokes don't work. But if you go on stage for 10 minutes and you come off stage and for the entire 10 minutes the crowd was laughing, the way you feel is just beautiful. It's amazing.
But even at the time where you feel your joke doesn't work, it actually works. Because I always had this thing, right? This is my personal thing. Because even I told Sarvesh about this. I was like, bro, if I see someone go on stage and bomb, I'll be like, you bombed. But when I'm driving back home, I'll be laughing because you bombed.
Oh, okay.
And you'll be the most funniest guy for me the whole day.
Okay,
You know,
yeah.
it's like nobody else's joke trumped it. Well, how did you think that joke was funny? You know, you just keep laughing on it.
Yeah.
Your day is just made. You know?
Yeah.
You still do that. There is no, I don't see any, unless you go up there and talk shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no negative effect to it.
Yeah.
Even if you bomb, you should be like, shit. But I know somebody's gonna laugh about this at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah, that's a story to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So, do you also practice law at the same time?
I used to till Feb.
This year?
Yeah, till 2 months back. I used to be a practicing lawyer. I quit my job recently because I want to do masters. I want to prepare for my entrance exams and my masters applications.
So, you're juggling both.
Yeah, I'm doing that, but I'm still working for one case in the office that they just asked me to work on. So office is not regular for me anymore. I don't do litigation work and court work as much anymore. It's just one case. But yeah, so I'm preparing for my masters. That usually takes up most of my time now. So I'm not too regular at open mics of late. I've not been going regularly for a while. But I go whenever I have the time to, and I go perform at shows, so it's fun.
So, is it like, it's important for everyone to have like two things happen at the same time, isn't it?
I guess, I mean, yeah, like if especially for me as a comic, I'm not at the stage where I can say, you know, I'm one of the better comics in Chennai with confidence. Like I know I'm getting shows regularly, and that's a good sign of it. Or it's a good sign or it's a sign of, you know, being someone who can sell tickets. It's not necessary that I'm one of the funnier guys around. So I can't say with confidence that I'm one of the best in Chennai. I know I'm not, you know, at the level where I can feel completely good about myself and rest and think, you know what, I am a comic with experience. I'm not at that level. I'm still a growing comic. I still have a lot to learn. I still have to grow a lot. And for that, for me, the most important thing is to hit open mics, which is something that I wish I attended more of them, to be honest. You know, I wish I went to more open mics. I wish I was more active. But I've not been that active as I'd like to be. And people in the circuit would be able to say, yeah, he's not that active, yeah. So that's the one thing that's holding me back. I wish I could, you know, write more and hit more open mics as regularly as possible. But that's something I'm trying to do. It's something I'm working towards.
As an artwork comes with maturity. This is a form of artwork. Maybe 5 years down the line, you'll be able to hit the jokes much harder than
Yeah,
you
maybe.
do now. You never know. But only important thing is not letting go of it.
Yeah, definitely not. Like see, however often I get to do it or whenever I do it, for me it's like therapy, dude. Like for me to go on stage and to say a joke that makes people laugh. It's not even me having that good feeling of, oh, I made their day. That's not what I'm feeling. It's more the fact about, hey, I'm good at this. I did something that I enjoy. This is something I enjoy. I enjoy going on stage. I enjoy telling jokes to people. And it's something I'm also good at. The feeling that you get out of it is something massive for me. So for me, there are days where I've literally done nothing the entire day. And I don't even have any prepared material. Like I have nothing prepared as of yet. I just go to the open mic, and there were times where I just, you know, I'd have an idea of saying, hey, this is the concept that I have, and I'll have like 2 punchlines, and I go on stage and I just talk and try to be as funny as possible. That's all. I used to do that, and I think it's important. I mean, I think it's important for every comic to take the writing more seriously, or like to take the structuring of the set more seriously. At least for me, I think I need to be. I shouldn't have done that, in the sense that I should put effort into it, because unless you put effort into your art form, you're not going to grow.
Yeah.
You should put actual effort. It's not enough to just think of a premise and 2 punchlines and try to be as funny as possible. You need to sit down. You need to like think of jokes. You need to be better as a comic. I've learned that now, so I don't perform sets that I don't complete. Like if I need to write down everything, I need to complete the set before I can go to an open mic and perform it. But the flip side to that is, since I'm doing something completely different, I'm also working on something else. I don't have enough time as I did have before to sit down and write. I think that's just me giving excuses. I should just sit down and write, like stop being lazy. But no,
I think jokes come from a place where you're at least, you don't have the stress of real world.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably, but yeah. So
Lack of better words, actually. That-
the point of it is basically for myself and for any other comic who's trying to grow is to hit as many open mics as possible and try to talk to as many comics as possible and try to network with all the comics as much as possible and really put yourself out there. Because if you're neither funny nor are you a guy who can push tickets or who can sell enough tickets, if you don't have either working for you, you're not going to get shows, and nobody can promise that hey, if I am on the show I will sell so many tickets. Nobody on earth can do that. So definitely you need to put in work into your art form. You need to be funny. You need to be good. Your stuff needs to be good. For me, when I go on stage, even if it's an open mic and then I do something and it works out, it feels really good. And if it doesn't work out, I come out, people make jokes about me. Just the environment and the vibe of being there makes me feel really good. So it's just something that I really enjoy doing. That's why I'm doing it. And I think that's great for me. That's it.
Oh, and you rap too.
I do that for fun.
Yeah.
I'm not like actual freestyler or whatever. Like I do it for fun. I do write though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've never recorded or performed or anything. It's just randomly I just write. It's not something I take seriously. It's just something that I do. I love the music. I am a huge fan of rap music. Like I love it. I'm really into it as a genre of music. So for me, it's something I do for fun. Like I listen to my favorite songs, I just rap along to it.
Well, one of the things was I was going through your Instagram, I think stories or something like that, and then you rap something on Eminem's song, and then I was like, yo, this guy, I can relate to them. This guy, okay, he listens to proper rap.
Yeah.
You're
an Eminem fan, then
I'm huge. This is my lyrics book.
Oh, you're right.
I write. So hip hop is just like in me since I don't know ever since I can remember music.
Yeah, it's a crazy genre. It's amazing. For me the thing is like I just haven't put in enough work into writing. So I think I remember especially when you're young, the hip hop really hit you really young. I remember trying to write when I was 16. I remember trying to write when I was 13, 14, I
had a book of 60 pages, a rap song, lyrics written when I was in 16, 17 years old. I lost that book.
Oh.
If I don't know who has that book or where it is, if somebody finds that book is gold, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Because at that age, right, with that music that hits you, you can just relate to it so much.
Yeah.
And you can just write so much stuff on it at that age.
Yeah. No, and some of them are really corny and bad also.
Yeah,
but like
it is corny.
It's just, it's just, yeah, no, it's just the whole idea of like, everyone who's that big a fan of hip hop wants to write.
Don't you think anyone who's more fan of a hip hop, they're more vocal about things and more, those are those people who are like, I would consider them to be antisocial people.
I'm not sure, but...
Not antisocial, actually, anti-society people kind of thing.
Like...
They're very rebellious.
Oh, rebellious, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the genre of music as such is extremely rebellious. It's a rebellious genre.
Where it started from, the people here, and then,
It's a crazy genre. And the history behind...
Was that amazing rap band that was there? NWA, yeah.
Yeah, NWA is
The
completely...
last syllable though, I knew it was NW something, right? So NWA,
yeah.
Those guys were like so against the whole thing about society and the laws and this and that.
It's a huge influencer.
Oh,
and I think...
How excited are you what is going to happen here with hip hop?
I'm really excited. And I think... the thing is, I think there are many people taking to it right now. Many young people are taking to it as an art form. There are Indian rappers that you can
there are, man.
Now.
Oh my god, there are some of them who are like...
Yeah, there are some proper Indian rap artists that you can listen to. Brother V is crazy.
Dude, I would love to have him on board once again. That guy's good. When I heard his song, the first time I heard it, it was a review by an American YouTuber.
Okay.
when I saw, who is this guy? And he raps in Tamil also.
Tamil, no, I think he
Yeah,
does.
he has old songs where he uses Tamil words on it, right?
Oh,
He's an English rapper, but
yeah,
he uses
yeah.
Tamil words on it.
He
like
uses Kannada, like there's Kannada lines. Yeah, but I'm not sure if I've heard him in Tamil. I'm not sure.
I thought he's a Tamilian, but I'm not. I
He,
don't
he's
know.
he's he's apparently a Tamil. He's of Tamil origin, but he lives in Bangalore.
Okay,
I think that's the story there.
that's the story there.
Yeah,
Okay.
but he there's a song that he released recently that's entirely in Kannada.
Okay.
And there's another song, another freestyle that he did with like a few Kannada lines in the middle. But I'm not sure if he's done anything with Tamil. I'm not.
This was the old ones, and I think
Maybe.
maybe
Maybe,
it would be
maybe,
there.
sure.
But when I heard that, I was like, shit, this guy's from here, you know?
Yeah,
And then
he's really good. He has a lot of
from
talent.
southern part. I knew about Divine and Nazy and all these people like a couple
Yeah.
of years ago. You know?
Yeah.
And MUA and all those guys.
Emilio Banta is also really good. I think
Yeah.
he's amazing. Divine Nazi, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so there are Indian artists that you can listen to, and you can legitimately have their songs on your apps or whatever, and listen to them on a drive, or you can listen to them at a party. There is some good rappers out there, but I don't think we've maxed out yet. I don't think we've hit our
Oh
potential
no, we didn't even
anyway.
hit anyway. We
Yeah.
didn't even touch that part.
Yeah, we're just starting out.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping I really hope that there are a lot of good rappers, I guess.
There will be, man. There will
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
There will be, as long as they keep it real.
Yeah, there's this one rapper from Chennai called Slick Hal,
Okay.
and
Slick?
Slick Hal, and he's like put out a couple of songs or 3 songs, and he's pretty good. So there are people who are coming up like that, who just starting out right now, who are doing amazing work. There are also people who are into producing and who are actually working together. There's this Indian producer called Says on the Beat, who's pretty popular, and there's some news article about he had some issues with Gully Boy, I guess. There were some issues between them, Says on the Beat and the
they
makers
stole
of the
some
movie.
beats?
I have no idea what the issue is, to be honest. I don't remember. I just saw it on the headline somewhere. But yeah, so there are popular Indian producers who are getting famous as well for hip hop production. So I think in the future, if more people take up to it, if more people, really start looking at producing hip hop beats and rapping as serious art forms that they could make a career out of, I think we'll grow, and I hope we do.
Yeah, we do. Because I had an argument with a friend of mine who was like, bro, Gully Boy is like, it just shows you we have reached the peak already. We're not going to go anywhere.
No, I
apart
don't
from
think the
this.
movie does that.
Because they commercialized it. The whole rap scene.
Yeah.
Because, rap was always considered underground, that kind of a thing. It was like a certain group of people who would listen to
Yeah.
sort of thing. But then I told him, look, but do you remember 8 Mile when it came out?
Yeah.
There were only it wasn't the whole culture, this thing, because that time rock was the whole cultural thing.
Yeah.
Hip hop was not. Hip hop
Yeah.
was second. Rock was first. And then after 8 Mile and everything, and then it all changed. Hip hop is the culture right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like 2 years back or 1 year back, I'm not sure when hip hop for the first time beat rock as the genre with the highest number of sales in US. And since then continuously it's been
Is it only 1 or 2 years ago?
2 or 3 max.
I'm pretty sure it was 5 years ago.
No, 2 or
Like
3.
2010, 11 and all, there were no rock bands
No,
anywhere.
but I'm not sure. I can't name rock bands because I don't follow them too much. Like I follow the really old rock bands, the new rock bands that are here now. I have no clue.
No, I think they're more merged into electronic music as well as into pop.
Yeah,
new-
maybe. No,
new
there are a few good rock bands out here still, but Greta Van Fleet is an amazing band.
Oh
That's
yeah, I
new.
heard about them. They sound like Led Zeppelin and
they're so good.
yeah.
But like I have no idea. I think hip hop's been really popular for a while now after the 21st century. From the late 90s, I think 90s.
90s itself, it started picking up so much, but
But
it wasn't like the top.
The top, yeah. I think from the 21st century, it's been really, really popular. But I think it's only 2 or 3 years ago where hip hop actually officially unseated rock as the genre with the most number of sales. And since then, it's been continuously hip hop. And the way I look at it, I think hip hop is I know a lot of rock fans are going to get angry. It's not like I have anything against. I love rock music.
No,
I think
rock
it's a
music too.
beautiful genre.
Yeah.
I really, really appreciate it. But I think hip hop is the new rock. I think the way rock music shocked a generation. I think the way rock music moved an entire generation.
Yes.
And the way rock music was censored by the older people at that time by saying it's too vulgar, it's too violent.
Yes.
That's the stigma rock music had. You know, it's about drugs, it's about it's too violent, it's too noisy, it's too
Back in the
brash.
days of Pink Floyd's and
Even much
you know,
before that, yeah.
what is that? Led Zeppelin. Who are the Guns N' Roses?
Yeah.
Even older than that, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the stigma that rock music had, and rock music was the rebellious genre for them, right? Rock music was this, and I think hip hop is like that today.
Yeah.
And hip hop faces that share of criticism. Some of it definitely is deserved. There are definitely issues with, the attitudes hip hop show as a genre in general. Like what the attitudes most rappers seem to show in their songs. There are problems with it, yes. And hip hop does get that criticism, some of it deservedly, yes. But I think it just goes to show how this is the new rock. And this is the genre that is influencing a lot of people the way rock influenced people back in the 80s and back in the 70s and all of that. I think, and the fact that hip hop took over and is now literally the highest selling genre of all time, like a genre in the year for the past 2-3 years. I think it's great. I think hip hop has grown a lot. Hip hop has also changed a lot, obviously. But I think it is the new rock, and I love it. And the rock fans always get upset at me for saying that for some reason. I don't get it, man. But like, it's cool. I love rock as a genre. No offense to rock as such, but I think hip hop is the new rock. The rock music of our generation is hip hop.
It is.
And it's true, the rock stars of our generation are all rappers.
All rappers, yeah. It's crazy life there, that one.
Yeah.
And some of them, the way they write the lyrics, and when you study the lyrics and when you study the way of writing these things and all, is so tough.
Yeah. It takes a lot of skill. So much technicality.
It's not something you just like, you can spit a few bars. That doesn't mean you can actually write with the music. People like Logic.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man? That's guys drops song almost every week almost.
We're on Thursday, right? Today
we're on Thursday. Tomorrow's Eminem.
Tomorrow's the song. Yeah, that's what I'm excited for.
With
Logic feat Eminem. Yeah, that's going to be crazy. I'm really hyped for that. Because that's a collaboration I wanted to see for a while.
Oh yes.
I think I like Logic. I think he's a good rapper.
Who are the best rappers according to you right now?
Right now?
Yeah.
Number 1, Kendrick.
Agreed.
Number 2, J. Cole.
Okay.
And then it's really tough. I think Big Sean is also good, though some people might not rank him that high. But I think Big Sean is good. I think Joyner Lucas is crazy. He's really, really good. Logic is really good.
For me, Logic is second. And J. Cole is third. That's it.
Oh, okay.
I close the door because other people have to still reach that level of writing the lyrics.
What do you think of G-Eazy? You don't like G-Eazy?
Bro, G-Eazy was good in his first album that went platinum, where his sound was crazy. His lyrics were according to the sound were crazy.
Yeah.
I think it was his second album, which
I'm not sure.
One of those which he got really famous for.
Yeah.
But after that is his meaning of lyrics on that effective. I actually consider that much more. For me, where you come from and what you write is more important. Like how Kendrick writes it.
Yeah, Kendrick is
just so emotional in all his rap. You know the Schoolboy Q song, the one Chopsticks?
Oh yeah.
It was Kendrick supposed to do it.
Really?
Yeah, not Travis Scott.
Oh.
But then he said it's too emotional. And then you start to think, how the hell is that emotional? Then you go through the lyrics, then you understand where an artist is coming from. Even though it's very commercialized, the way they write their pain and everything and all those things that comes out of it is...
No, but like Kendrick is just not good just with his narration. I think technically also he's a very, very good rapper.
Gifted. The way that he transitions the songs?
Yeah, and the way he raps, the way he flows on songs, the lyrics that he writes, and not just the stories he's telling. He's obviously a great storyteller. Yeah. He's obviously talking about really important stuff.
And Mad City, how good was it?
That song, it's crazy.
Good evening, put your headphones on, listen to Mad City from beginning to end.
Yeah, the album is so good.
You were just so lost in a different world.
Yeah, it's a crazy... I think it's not just... I think To Pimp a Butterfly is great.
It's great. It is great.
It's a great album.
It's a different story.
Yeah, no, for me, if I had to rank Kendrick's albums, ignoring Section, the first album that he did, Damn is actually last on my list. I think it's...
I would go the same way.
Yeah.
Mad City would be first for me.
Yeah. So it's a toss-up
Then
between
second comes
TPAB
Pimp the
and
Butterfly,
Mad City.
yeah.
So Damn would actually be at the bottom if you look at it critically or what I like. But Damn is incredibly successful.
Yes.
As a commercial album,
It was incredible.
It's out of the world.
Yeah.
And it's still not bad. It's still not like
It's not bad.
It's not like he's lost his quality or
No,
anything.
it hasn't.
It's really, really good.
That's why he's number one.
Yeah.
Most people who really love rap, they consider him to be number one.
Yeah.
Because he's Eminem of our younger days.
Yeah, I don't. Kendrick is just too good. I don't compare.
You
but
can't
like,
compare them.
Yeah.
I'm saying at our days my days when in 2008, 2005, 4 and growing up, it was Eminem, you know?
Yeah,
It's
he was all over the
Yeah,
place.
he was all over the place. He was that guy.
Yeah.
And then now it's like Kendrick for me, you know?
Yeah. Kendrick has made it as exciting as it.
And Logic.
Yeah, it's good.
That guy works.
Yeah. No, for me, Logic, it's incredible how technical he is with the delivery, with the fast flow that he does. It's super impressive. In terms of writing, I don't know if he's hit the same level as some of the
That's
other.
because he hasn't got a very
Yeah, I'm hoping
different kind of story.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm hoping that, like, for example, versatility, you mean. So I'm hoping he shows some of that.
No, it's because you see when rappers when they come up, when any good rapper that you see, anyone who's hit the top, even if you take people like Future or Drake or whatever, Drake it doesn't fall under that category for me. But there are some rappers like who, when they rap, they talk about their life, right? But they put it in such a good metaphorical, in such good rhymes and relevancy for us that is so deep, but you can understand where they come from. But Logic didn't have that. Logic didn't go through what Kendrick went through or something. That's not that deep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
because we expected him to be like Eminem. Eminem was white, but he was white trash.
Okay.
Logic was not white trash, but Logic was white.
No, the Logic will disagree. I mean, Logic
will disagree.
Biracial, half white, half black.
I understand
and all
that, but I'm talking as a customer. I'm saying from my point of view.
Yeah.
So for me, like people would, this is actually a talk which a lot of people would tell me, no, bro, don't compare him with Eminem, is what I say. You're trying to say he's a white rapper who's so good, but don't compare him with Eminem because Eminem is a different. Every rapper is different when they grow up, and then you do it.
No, Eminem technically is on a different league. I think like he's just on lyrically and like.
I've got people who come in and say he's white, so it's supposed to be that thing comes in.
Oh, the privilege exists, and he acknowledges it. It's not like Eminem denies the privilege. He knows that the privilege exists.
No, but Eminem suffered through. See, this
you
what
mean
I'm talking
that?
about is people who argue with me on the fact that white rappers don't go through what black rappers go through to have that much effect on a certain music genre. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I argue back with him saying that that's not how it works. It's Eminem went through the same thing a black rapper would go through. So he had that kind of effect. But he had a very little sick thought in his head, which worked well with his albums at that time.
Yeah. No,
but Logic's way, from where Logic comes, is entirely different and unique.
Okay, yeah. No, but I mean, obviously there are still there are still unique challenges that a black rapper would face.
Yeah.
That white rappers, including Eminem, would not face. But I think you're right in the terms that to say he's white so he never suffered is wrong.
Is wrong.
I mean, he had issues other than race affected him.
Exactly.
Like, when he was growing up. So yeah,
let me put it in better words. I just take analogies everywhere. Wherever I see analogies.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with me.
No, it's not a problem, bro. It's cool. But issues other than race affected him. So I think he had that pain and he had that emotion to put in his songs, I guess. So.
Definitely is, man. Crazy, dude. Didn't know you were also a rap fan, dude.
I'm a huge rap fan.
What did you think about Eminem's album that she dropped last year?
About the new album.
Not the one he dropped last Friday, the one before that.
What did he drop last Friday?
He dropped an extended LP.
Oh no,
Slim Shady.
yeah. That's just an extended LP. That's okay.
This is from the one which he did last year.
Yeah.
Forgot what then, Kamikaze.
Yeah, Kamikaze, I loved it.
Yeah,
I thought it was great. I
Dude,
loved
I was
that.
waiting for someone to come in and take a piss on everybody.
It was great. It was a very good album. I think the fact is that he got angry.
Yeah.
And like angry Eminem is like classic Eminem. So
Yeah.
I think it was a good album. I enjoyed it. I know people are saying, oh, it's not as good as his first 3 albums. It's not, but it was great. It was a lot. It was fun to listen to.
Yeah,
I
it was
really
so much
enjoyed.
fun, yeah.
I really enjoyed most of the album. I thought. And it's a different sound. Like for example, his flow on Lucky You is something that I've not.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not.
because we heard other rappers do it.
Yeah,
but we
it's
didn't
the-
get Eminem ever to go in that flow.
Yeah, so it was very, very good. And it was very surprising, but he did it so well. It was amazing. Lucky You is one of my favorite songs from the album. Greatest is an amazing song.
Fall was good.
Fall is amazing, yeah. Fall is amazing. But like Greatest, the Royce the 5'9", Royce is another very underrated rapper for me. Like
Amazing guy.
a lot of people need to listen to more of
Yeah.
it. So that collab it's a collaboration that I'm always excited by.
And they always do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of songs, but it always excites me every time it comes out. Every time there's a Royce Eminem collab, because they're both really similar styles,
Yeah.
but they're so completely different from each other. It's so good. It's so
So that album, was that Devil Meets Evil?
Bad Meets Evil.
Bad
yeah,
Meets Evil, yeah.
It's a beautiful album. I love that too. So yeah, I mean, I love the Kamikaze album. I really liked it. You can have your complaints about it. I know people will have their complaints about
Well,
it. And
Shut up and take it. Listen to it. If you grew up with Eminem, you should appreciate that. That's
yeah,
all it is
it's
to say
a
about
great
it,
album.
you know?
It's a great album.
Can't actually argue. Because some people, when they come and argue, you don't understand rap then, bro. Don't try to compare it with everyone's work. You know, it's just like you are in that zone, it hits you at that zone, it hits you at that zone. That's
You
what it is.
saw the Justin Bieber interview. I wanted to ask you about that.
No, I didn't. What the hell did that guy say now?
Justin Bieber today or yesterday had an interview where he said he liked Eminem's flow, but he thought Eminem was only dissing the new generation of rappers because he doesn't understand how rap has evolved and he doesn't understand new rap. And that's the only reason Eminem's dissing these rappers. This was an interview that came out yesterday. I was laughing at it today morning.
That boy has nothing to do right now. So, it's okay.
Yeah, that's all. You'll just. Oh, I'm just waiting for the next diss track. That's all. Give us one more diss track. I'll take it. I'll take it.
I just love that one particular line which he used on Machine Gun Kelly. I gave you a career.
Yeah, I had to give you a career to destroy it. Yeah, it's a crazy line.
Like, what's more? Just put your mic down, GMGK. Like, that's it. That's the end of it.
It is good. It was good. I mean, there were a lot of clever lines on that song, and the flow and the amount of the rhyme scheme on that song. It was very good. With Eminem, the thing is, yes, there has been a general decline in quality. Like, I'm not going to refuse that. Yes, his first 3 albums were much better than anything he's put out after that. But to say he's a bad rapper or he's not a good rapper anymore, but that by any means is stretching it for me. Like, he's still one of the greatest of all time.
I consider him a rap god, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly, for me, he's like,
I was a huge fan of Eminem growing up. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I still get excited whenever Eminem drops anything
Oh,
new.
yes.
I still get so excited. I will agree that there's been a general decline. Like, I'm not like if someone.
You can't expect him to keep to that level.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's unfair to hold
him.
him.
Dropped what, a new album?
Yeah, that was
recently?
bad. That was terrible.
You can't expect him to do that. That was amazing back in 90s and
Yeah.
you know, just late 80s and 90s and all. He was the guy at that time. But
And-
you
and
can't
the-
expect that again.
The problem again with Eminem is that his like what Eminem says is right. The standard that he set with his first 3 albums is so high. It's like the classics, right? At least the first 2 everyone says are classics. Marshall Mathers LP, Slim Shady LP. You've got to be
Curtain Call was also
completely.
another one, right?
Sorry.
Curtain Call?
Yeah, that's the collection. But like Eminem Show was there.
Uh-huh,
Eminem Show
yeah.
you can debate. I don't mind. But like Marshall Mathers LP, the first one, and Slim Shady LP. If you don't think those albums are classics, then I don't know what's wrong with you. You know, that's the level that he's set. Like everyone, like minimum 2 classic, all-time legendary albums Eminem has. And to hit that standard is very difficult. So if you're going to judge him by his failure to hit that standard again, I think it's a bit unfair to him. I think he's still a good rapper. I think he's still...
You push them on a different thing, which is called... they are very... They're very refined artists is what I would call them.
Yeah.
People like Eminem, Kanye West,
Hmm.
you know, even Drake, and all these guys are like that, refined ones.
I'm not sure if I agree on Kanye and Drake. I think
Kanye is mentally talented fucker, dude, honest to God.
No, Kanye is an amazing producer, and I think
Yeah.
Kanye rhyming on Kanye's production, I think it's
Yeah.
really good. I think for most people, I think the opinion of Kanye as a human being colors their opinion of Kanye as an artist. And just because they don't like, Kanye does say some really, really weird stuff and he behaves really weird.
Yeah.
And because he does things like that, people are like, oh, it's so ridiculous to support Kanye. But
It's a whole different game what's happening.
I think
over there.
musically,
Yeah.
I think musically he deserves a lot more credit.
Because
than
what
he's
he
getting for.
talks about in music is also important, right? Says that as a rapper, they usually talk about proper issues and real issues. Kanye does that. Even Drake does that to an extent. Some songs are commercial, some songs where they really talk about certain things. And Kanye is always not let down on those lyrics.
No, with Kanye the thing is, you have to understand Kanye's debut as a rapper, and I'm not talking about production.
Did he make a debut as a rapper? I don't think so. Did
Kanye West.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's been rapping for a while, man.
No, wait. Did he make his debut as a producer?
Yeah, in
First
the 90s.
producer, right?
Yeah, he
Or
was
90s,
he was late
2000s.
late 90s or early 2000s. He's been producing since the late 90s actually.
Okay.
And he was a producer. He was a hip hop producer. He was making beats for all these different artists. His first album as a rapper, where he made his debut,
It was Graduation,
rap,
right?
yeah, that was in 2004 or 5 or somewhere around that time,
Graduation.
which was immediately after Eminem took his break from hip hop. That was the 4 years that Eminem was in the hiatus.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, you're a huge Eminem fan, aren't you?
Yeah,
He took that break because of...
drug
was
issues.
it drugs or because his friend got shot?
His friend did get shot, and then
What's his name? I forgot his
Proof,
name.
Proof.
Proof, yeah.
Proof got shot. It was around the same time. But the thing is, he went to rehab center for drugs. And there was an incident where he overdosed and he almost died. He had to be taken to the hospital, and they said if he was a bit later, he would have died. He would have OD'd and he would have died. So after that, he comes out of that, and then he goes to rehab.
For
And
7-8 years, I think. It was
he was gone for I think he released an album only in 2008. So for a proper 4 years, he was not there in the scene at all. And that's when Kanye makes his debut. And I think there's this first album that Eminem comes back on, Relapse, I think. There's a song where he talks about it's either Relapse or Recovery. He says, I almost made a song insulting Lil Wayne and Kanye. There's lyrics that go there.
I think it was Recovery.
I think it was Recovery. When he's talking about Relapse, probably, he said, I almost put out a song where I was dissing Lil Wayne and Kanye. And if you look at, there's an interview where Eminem's explaining that lyric, and he said, I was so frustrated because I was stuck up and I was unable to think of lyrics and I was unable to put out good music, that I was angry at anyone who's successful. And when I looked out at the rap scene, the two guys who were killing it the most were Lil Wayne and Kanye West. And that's why I felt like taking shots at them, but I had the sense not to do that. And
Lil Wayne's been there for a long time.
Yeah, I see personally.
One of those YouTube videos you see, evolution of artists kind of thing?
Yeah, I saw that.
I was shocked that guy was there for a long time.
Yeah, he's been rapping professionally since he was 16 or something. It's crazy. But I'm not a fan of Lil Wayne personally. I'm not a huge appreciator of his music. I like a few songs. I'm not a big fan. But
it's cool. That's all I say.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's okay.
There are songs that I cannot stand. I'm like,
oh, it's like that for you. Okay.
There are songs that I can't stand him. I know, God. But there are also songs that he's.
I don't get excited for his releases.
Yeah, I don't.
That's all.
But
for me, I don't mind listening to him.
Yeah, there are
pops
songs
up in the shuffle. I don't care. Let it run.
I might care. That's no. There are songs where he's wildly innovative and his flow is really good and all of that. But also there are some songs that really I really cringe at, so it's okay for me. Lil Wayne is okay, but yeah, the rest of the rap scene is pretty good. I mean, from the 90s, his longevity is what's impressive. Like how long he's been.
It's been there for a while.
Yeah.
Because of Eminem's break, these guys came up, Drake and all these guys. Otherwise, I don't think they would have come up that quick. It would have taken a couple of more years if Eminem was still Eminem for a while.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, but like, so the reason I brought that up is because people don't give enough credit to Kanye, because I get it, man. Like it's become embarrassing to say that you enjoy Kanye outside the rap circles. Like if people who know rap will not look at you too weird, but like you tell someone who's a general member of the public that you like Kanye West, he's going to look at you and you're like, what's wrong with you? That's because of the image he's created for himself outside. He's done some really, really ignorant stuff. But
it is there.
Yeah, but I think like you said, as a producer and in terms of his music, I think he's a bit underrated and he's a lot better than people give him credit for.
Oh. And I think some golden, I consider, like I have different names for different artists. Like I put them in golden sector. Like Kid Cudi and all, like I love their music.
Yeah.
Man. Every time, whatever song they do, I just love it. It's just beautiful.
The another point is like, I think Kanye has more Grammys than Eminem, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
So Kanye is actually pretty critically acclaimed and critically successful. He's actually really, really good.
Because he's two things in one. See, Eminem's a good writer and he needs Dre for himself.
The baby when he started out, Eminem also produces, and I'm actually not.
No, he does, but his quality of any music that wherever he's hit the top was always with Dre's music.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, even this new album, if Fall wasn't there with Dre working on it completely solo, I think he was producing half the.
He was the executive
producers, I think, but for Fall, he was the producer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he worked on it with him.
Okay.
And if you see the music video, he's in the back seat.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's Royce and
that's
backseat.
Dre.
Yeah, that's Dre sitting in the back, and then he gets out of the phone, throws the phone, goes up. It's Dre's song.
Okay.
That's what commercially made a big hit for him. And Art of Kamikaze, you know. And then people started to, you know, it's like you need to latch on to people's attention. And Dre was the one who can latch on to people's attention.
Okay.
And when he did it, people started realizing the rest of the tracks of his album was really nice.
Yeah, no, I was in office that day.
Oh.
So, like, that's a very funny story because I was in office and I got done with my work and my boss was not around. So I was just chilling and I was just on my phone. And I open Instagram and I see it says Eminem's live. I'm like, oh, what is this? And I just open it. And I opened the live feed and it looked like he was in a theater or something. I could just see some screen and I could see something flying. I was like, you know, Eminem just goofs around on Insta Live sometimes. So I thought, okay, he's just goofing around, nothing important. I just closed it. And I like, they had a poster out. Eminem had put an image out saying, Venom official track releasing today or something. And I commented on it. Like, I tagged my brother and I tagged my another friend who are Eminem fans. And I tagged him, hey, new music coming today. And I closed my phone, put it in. 2 minutes later, I pick it up again. I open Instagram again. And I see my brother is commented on some post and mentioned you. I open it, it says new album. Eminem releases new album and there's this entire track list and it's blowing my mind because the live that I had opened was actually the album launch.
Oh, shit, you
and I
missed
had closed it thinking it's some random goofiness that Eminem's doing. And then later they say all over the news it's like Eminem dropped a new album on Insta Live.
What was that surprise album, dude?
It was so amazing.
When Nicki Minaj dropped an album 1 week prior to that, and he had a song with her.
Yeah.
What was that song called? Ganja, I think. Was it called Ganja?
No.
Was it?
No, something else. It was something. It's from her new album.
Yeah, and when Eminem spit in that, I was telling my brother. I remember sitting in the sofa. I have a feeling something's coming.
Okay.
Because this can't be like just for a while he hasn't released. Like he did. What do you call, what was that?
Chloroseptic remix, he did that. Then he did Caterpillar with Royce.
No, wait, just no. Before 2018 he dropped an album, no? 2017 or 18?
Oh, that was
Survival.
Revival. Yeah.
Revival.
Yeah.
Was it Revival or Survival?
Revival.
Revival. Okay.
Yeah.
Felt like Survival. So, but I heard that album, was like, it's okay, it's Eminem, whatever. He's experimenting. But then after he spit on Nicki Minaj's one, I had a feeling something's coming. I just had an instinct and I told my bro something's coming, and it did. I mean, after a couple of days, it's like boom,
Yeah, it was
smashed it, and I was like, what the?
It
When I heard it, I was like, yo, this guy is crazy.
I listened to it from like top to bottom. Like I was sitting in office, I was like, I saw this new album had come out. My brother had commented me, and I sent it to all of my friends. I was just like, guys, new album. And I listened to it straight from like The Ringer all the way down to Venom.
Yes,
I just
all the way
like listened to the entire thing. It was amazing. It was a very, very fun
Yeah.
listen after. Revival, like you said, it was like, okay. I mean, I still think it's not a good album. Like I didn't enjoy it. But
It's a good piece of art, but
it's better than most people give it credit for. Like
Yeah.
there are some good parts to it. I didn't enjoy the album too much, to be honest. But I think after Revival came out, he did Chloroseptic Remix, where he has a very, very good verse. Like so that is 2 Chainz, Fresher, and Eminem. So this came out a few months after the Revival album. I heard that. This is
I don't
amazing.
remember that. I have to.
You have to listen to it. I'll like send you the link or something. So this was his first song after Revival, Chloroseptic Remix, and then he had a song with Royce da 5'9" on Royce's album. That song was called Caterpillar, and that was also beautiful. But like after these 2 songs, I was like, okay, like the next album he drops is going to be really good. Like he's gotten back into that crazy writing. He's like really good at it again, and the flow was like the old Eminem.
Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting it, like it
come
all
out
out
with a
of
new sort of flow.
yeah, it came out of the blue,
Yeah.
and I lost it. It was really good.
Crazy guy, dude. Crazy guy. Oh, tomorrow's gonna be a good song.
Yeah, I'm waiting, man.
Yeah.
You got me excited for that again. I completely forgot it was coming out.
So, because
Yeah,
thanks for coming on.
yeah. Thank you so
Spoke
much.
about a lot of things.
A lot of things. Yeah, we covered a lot of
just,
ground.
just fair to be the user to the listeners.
Yeah,
If our beginning part of the conversation sounded very weird, it is because it is. So
yeah. No, imagine like we
it's
went
always
from-
like that. My beginning of most of the podcasts are like, what the hell are these guys talking about?
Yeah, but like I'm surprised how we got to Kanye West and Eminem. Like, how did the conversation? I have to go back and I have to listen to the entire thing. Like, how is it naturally possible for someone to rant about the caste system for half an hour and then
Yeah.
talk about Eminem at the end? Like, I have no idea how that happened. But yeah,
That's the whole point of conversation. Man.
yeah, it's great. It's
If
great.
everyone has it, it would be so amazing.
Yeah,
You could actually talk about important things,
yeah,
and then end up talking about interest.
yeah. You can have fun. It's a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Definitely will.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you so much. It's great. to
Appreciate
hear.
it.
Yeah. How long was it? Wow, I didn't feel time go at all. It was great, man.
2 hours 45 minutes.